Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. The fusion of Gojo Satoru was exposed by the school flower. Chapter 51. Wow. Mutated eagles spread their wings in the sky, terrifying storms are set off. Boom. In the sudden roar, the wind surged, and this mutant eagle was like a sharp sword, stabbed from the sky. However, before the mutant eagle rushed towards Linghua, a figure suddenly appeared beside it. This is a human. Black uniform, wearing a black eye patch. A head of white hair fluttered in the wind, with an inexplicable surging aura. Ha ha ha. Amidst the cheerful laughter, Lu Zemo raised his fist violently and smashed it towards the head of this mutant eagle. Boom. Hearing a loud noise, this mutant eagle smashed towards the bottom of the valley like a cannonball. Accompanied by it was a terrifying whimper. Ding, you have killed the entry-level 5th level mutant eagle, energy point plus 50. Hearing the sound of the system beeping in his ear, Lu Zemo's mouth curled slightly. Not bad, only, this is just the beginning. He wants to clear the sky of mutant birds as soon as possible. These guys are likely to take advantage of the chaos to snatch the spirit flower, which is a threat, and should be removed as soon as possible. As for the mutant beasts on the earth, hand them over to the mutant python. Lu Zemo believes that this mutant python will not let him down. And now, relying on the spell, Kang's extended usage, Lu Zemo's body kept flashing in the night sky. Repeated teleportation. The smile on his face became more and more intense. Facing his teleportation, these mutant birds didn't even have a chance to react. Smashed with a punch, bones shattered. A fierce whip leg, and even the wings are torn off. Once again strengthened body, powerful and terrifying. You know, Lu Zemo has no surging spiritual power. Just relying on the strength of his body, he actually killed one mutant bird after another. And above the earth, the beasts are crazy, but what awaits them is the overlord of the deep valley, the mutant python of the 9th level. Before these mutant beasts approach, the cold chill has spread. Crack, click, as the ice and snow drifted away, everything was condensed, and many mutant beasts turned into ice sculptures. Ha 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 ha. Among the repeated neighs, there was a 6th level entry, looking extremely ferocious, with a body like a mutant wild boar covered with bone spurs, breaking through the cold blockade and rushing towards the secluded lake. But at this moment, a white shadow disappeared in a flash. And at the next moment, what was printed into the eyes of the mutant wild boar was a slender and extremely fierce white snake tail. Snapped. With a fierce swipe, the entire body of the huge mutant wild boar flew out backwards. Even the bone spurs all over his body are constantly shattering. What an exaggerated force. In his heartfelt sigh, Lu Zemo, who was still in the sky, was cleaning up the mutant birds, and his eyes narrowed slightly. It is indeed a mutant beast of the 9th level. This power is beyond his reach. After all, it is a mutant beast, and its physical strength far exceeds that of humans. And it is level 9, with such power, Lu Zemo can understand. Although his body has been strengthened again and again, in the end, it is only a lot stronger than ordinary extraordinary people. According to Lu Zemo's guess, his current body strength should be equivalent to a mutant beast of the same level. In other words, his body strength is almost close to the mutant beast of the 8th level. And this one is a real 9th level entry level. When I step into the 9th level, my body will be further nourished by spiritual power, and I may be able to confront him head-on. While murmuring in his heart, Lu Zemo didn't care. He was talking about pure physical strength. If it is auxiliary spiritual power, now he is enough to shake this white python with a mutation of the 9th level. Who made the mutant beasts have low IQs, and their use of spiritual power is not as good as that of ordinary transcendence. And his current body strength, supplemented by spiritual power, to be honest, the strength that burst out is not necessarily lost to this mutant python. This is what Lu Zemo said. After his body has been strengthened, the strength is not as simple as 1 plus 1. Most of the current mutant beasts rely on brute force. Humans, though weak in strength, will use skills. This is also the reason why humans can compete with some mutant beasts at the same level. As for Lu Zemo, needless to say, relying on Gojo Satoru's fighting consciousness, his use of power has reached the realm of transformation. With the same force, he can explode 3-point force. Very scary. In terms of technique, Lu Zemo doesn't think he will lose to any human. However, it doesn't matter. Now, it's time for the real hunt. Boom, boom. In the continuous roar, Zemo has already killed more than a dozen mutant birds. Looking carefully, in the night sky, there are blood-colored and blood-stained feathers flying. And at this moment, reversal technique, in the sudden violent drinking, Zemo, who was still in the air, was already aiming at the ground, a mutant wolf that rushed towards the mutant python. Boom. Accompanied by an extremely terrifying roar, a red, straight line impacting airflow was violently ejected from the sky. Ow! Amid the shrill neighing, the mutant giant wolf flew out without even reacting. There was even a blood mist that burst into the night sky. One hit kills. There is absolutely no chance of survival. A mere 5-level mutant wolf, even if his body is not weak, he can't resist Zemo's. At this time, slowly raising his eyes, he was able to find that the deep valley had turned red, and the bodies of mutant beasts were scattered all around. As the cold chill spreads, the blood is condensed. I don't know when, this deep valley has turned into an ice valley. The source of the ice valley's chill was actually the mutant white giant python that was already entrenched in a group, staring at Zemo. It senses, detected, the real horror. Tread. A sudden landing sound came from not far away. This is Zemo falling from the sky. And now, slowly raising his eyes, blue eyes with white fog and a pair of blood-red snake pupils, inexplicable depression is also surging when they look at each other. Ordinary extraordinary people see you, I'm afraid they don't even have the courage to take action. While speaking softly, Zemo also looked at the huge white snake. White scales, wrapping tightly around the body. A torso as thick as a bucket, slender and round. And the pair of icy snake eyes that seem to have no emotion at all. It's really suffocating. I have to say that this mutant python is terrifying. And now, there is no need to hesitate, nor dare to hesitate. When the mutant python in the distance noticed the existence of Zemo, a fierce flash flashed in the depths of the snake's pupil. Hiss. In the terrifying neigh, it looked up to the sky, and an ice blue luster was locked in its throat. Boom. In the sudden roar, there was a bucket-thick ice blue beam of light that shot fiercely in the direction of Zemo. Ha! The figure disappeared in place in an instant, and Zemo also used Kang's short-distance teleportation to come to dozens of meters away. However, at the next moment, where Zemo was before, everything was condensed. Countless ice stains appeared. Forehead. Staring blankly not far away, more than 10 meters were frozen ground. Zemo also raised his brows. If this happens, I am afraid it will directly turn into an ice sculpture. However, it shouldn't be possible. He has unlimited spells, the closer the attack is to him, the slower the speed will be, until it stops. Such a terrible spell, engraved on the whole body. The possibility of this icy blue breath trying to touch him is almost zero. And although Zemo intends to fight with the mutant python, but he will not remove the infinite spell, just because this is a life and death battle. A little careless, I'm afraid I don't know how to die. So, even in teleportation, Zemo didn't remove the infinite spell. And now, looking at the mutant python not far away, Zemo is also in acceleration. Boom. With the sudden roar, he shortened the distance between the starting point and the ending point, and came directly to the mutant python. The short-distance teleportation brought out the terrifying impact, all poured out on the mutant python. It shook his body violently. But before it reacted, Zemo had already concluded the handprint. Kang. Hearing a loud shout, a terrifying explosion slammed into the mutant python. Hiss. Amidst the shrill neighing, the mutant python seemed to be in a state of madness, and its body kept swaying. Ha! Ha! The terrifying white snake's tail, whistling, actually slammed towards Zemo fiercely. Teleport again. What was waiting for Zemo was the earth not far away, which burst in an instant. Boom. A ravine several meters long has emerged. That's a smack of a snake's tail. Even though it suffered severe pain, this mutant python was trying to fight back. And at this moment, it seems to have caught Zemo's position, and the mutant python not far away turned its head again, and spit out an ice blue beam of light fiercely towards Zemo. Zemo, who was interested in fighting against each other, did not refuse this opportunity. The backhand concludes the mudra. A terrible red direct shock wave has erupted. Boom! Accompanied by a very terrifying roar, the red air current and the ice-blue air current were rolling out in all directions, swept across a small half of the valley. It can only be said that it is indeed a mutant python of the 9th level. With just one breath, he could actually have a head-to-head with Lou Zemo. However, this is not enough. With a smile in his heart, Lou Zemo's body shook violently. When the mutant python reacted, his body actually appeared above the mutant python. 180 degrees poured. Lou Zemo is already raising his fist. Looking closely, there is a fine black arc lingering on his fist. This is Black Flash, a very scary ability. Black Flash, the space distortion generated when the error between the blow and the impact of spiritual power is within 0.000001 seconds. When using Black Flash, the color of spiritual power will turn black, and the power is roughly the 2.5 th power of normal attack. Very direct data, but it means that Lou Zemo's punch is far beyond what others imagine. Like now, when the right fist was charged, the black electric arc spurted violently. Boom! Accompanied by an earth-shattering roar, the scales around the mutant white python kept shattering. And its entire body sank even more violently. Boom, boom, boom. In the continuous roar, the deep valley seemed to have set off a small earthquake, and kept shaking. Hiss! A very mournful hissing sound echoed in the night sky. Even the mutant python could not withstand such an outbreak. It's just that everything is coming to an end. Because, right now, boom, it was another ruthless punch, and even more ferocious power erupted. Boom! As the blood mist dissipated, the roaring of the mutant python also stopped abruptly. Lou Zemo was left alone. He slowly landed from the air. This is Black Flash. In a daze, Lou Zemo also looked at his fist and couldn't help but lose his mind. This is a very profound power technique in Gojo Satoru's memory. The so-called Black Flash is somewhat like a crit in a flat A. It's hard to control. It is necessary to control the error of strike and spiritual power within 0.000001 seconds. However, this is only relative to others. With 6 Eyes support, Lou Zemo wants to play Black Flash. It doesn't seem to be too difficult. At least that's how Lou Zemo feels. Fist and fist crit, blow everything up. While whispering softly, Lou Zemo was also a little excited. I have to say, Black Flash is a very powerful ability. If this is used well, I am afraid it will be another magical skill. After all, Lou Zemo, who keeps strengthening his body, will keep improving his strength. His punch was unbearable. The so-called crit attack appeared again, and the taste was estimated to be unusually sour. Like now, the mutant python that entered the 9th level actually fell to the ground after only receiving Lou Zemo's 2 punches Black Flash, and could not get up again. Ding! You have killed an entry-level 9th level mutant python, energy point plus 500. A sudden reminder rang in my ears. It was also announced that the mutant python had completely lost its life. It's over. While speaking softly, Lou Zemo also breathed a sigh of relief. Now, he will never let his guard down until he hears the system beep. Some mutant beasts have high IQs now, pretending to be commonplace. Even some mutant beasts waited until the enemy relaxed their vigilance and fought back violently. So, Lou Zemo won't let his guard down until the mutant beast is 100% dead. And its system prompt tone is a good assistant. It can help him to confirm the life and death of this mutant beast. Do not just mutant beasts. Humans are the same. No matter how you play dead again, you can't hide from Lou Zemo's eyes. And this can be regarded as Lou Zemo's small use of the system. With a smile in his heart, Lou Zemo also raised his footsteps and walked towards the depths of the secluded pool. There, among the blooming lotuses, aura surging. Just by feeling this amazing spiritual power fluctuation, you can realize that this secluded lotus is extraordinary. This should be the first order spirit flower. In a daze, Lou Zemo also felt that this spirit flower was the so-called first order. Just like humans and mutant beasts will be graded, Linghua Linguo will also be graded. And this spiritual flower, the fragrance spreads thousands of meters. It attracts countless mutant beasts to compete. With such momentum, if it weren't for the first order spirit flower, it would be unbelievable to kill Lou Zemo. And now, quietly looking at this secluded lotus, and then looking at the huge python corpse not far away. Lu Zimo also noticed. Although he has just stepped into the 8th level, this secluded lotus and the mutated python corpse of the 9th level are enough to bring him one step closer. In particular, the nearby mutant beasts are almost dead. There should also be no other mutant beasts. So, this is the best place to retreat right now. Thinking of this, Lu Zimo also decided to start the final retreat in this ice valley. As the night got darker, Lu Zimo sat alone in the deepest part of the ice valley. In front of him, a secluded lotus was swirling with an inexplicable color. And farther away, on a bonfire, a very huge snake meat is also roasting. Raise your right hand. Boom. When the suction burst, Lu Zimo also grabbed the snake meat in his hand. Then I ate a few big bites. Crack, click. One bite after another, the extremely pure spiritual power in the snake meat kept pouring into Lu Zimo's body. But, this is just the beginning. Taking a deep breath, Lu Zimo also picked a lotus leaf and put it in his mouth. Boom. Amidst the sudden roar, a terrifying chill broke out, and an extremely terrifying pure ice attribute aura erupted in Lu Zimo's body. Crack, click. Accompanied by the strange voice, Lu Zimo's body actually condensed. In an instant, it turned into an ice sculpture. But at this time, no one knew that the unimaginable aura had swept through Lu Zimo's limbs and bones. The chill is surging, cleansing the essence. Even more, it strengthens Lu Zimo's physique. There is an inexplicable force integrated into Lu Zimo's body that shocked Lu Zimo. What is this? Suddenly, Lu Zimo forgot one thing. That is, at this time, it is not easy to be promoted to an extraordinary first-order spirit flower. Just because, nowadays, extraordinary creatures do not exist. Humans and animals have not yet emerged an extraordinary first-order creature. And this secluded lotus can be promoted to the first rank at this time. No matter its rarity or other aspects, it is far beyond the imagination of others. It is not an exaggeration to say that this secluded lotus is called a treasure. Even if it is placed in future generations, this secluded lotus can be ranked among the many spiritual flowers and fruits. And now, the benefits of such a precious lotus falling into Lu Zimo's belly are not simply to increase his strength. In later generations, all spiritual flowers and fruits that can enhance the talent of the root and bones can be called treasures. Rare in the world, and this is understandable. To be able to seize the fortune, change the fate against the sky, let those who can't cultivate, set foot in cultivation, and let those who can't evolve, set foot on the road of evolution. It is not simple to place such treasures in myths and legends. As for the secluded lotus that Lu Zimo devoured now, if it is given to ordinary people, as long as he can withstand the impact of the chill, I am afraid that it can greatly improve his affinity for the ice element, even more, make him wake up immediately. Like now. Ding, it is detected that an inexplicable power is pouring into the host's body. Ding, it has been detected that the host's ice element affinity has greatly increased. Ding, detect the affinity of the host ice element, and further improve. One after another prompt, but the system detected changes in Lu Zimo's body. Root bone further changes. Talent is also further improved. Gojo Satoru is strong. Lu Zimo, with the Gojo Satoru template, is destined to reach the top. But this does not affect other aspects of Lu Zimo's strength. Just like now. The bones are changed, the talent is improved. The inexplicable power is surging in the body Lu Zimo. In a trance, what is awakening? Time passed slowly, and in a blink of an eye, the night had passed. Ice Valley is always summer just, the more and more chill, permeates the heaven and earth. But at this time, click, suddenly, a crisp sound came from the depths of the deep valley. Looking around, it turned out that a crack appeared around the body of an ice sculpture. Crack, click, amidst the continuous shattering sound, a very handsome figure was also revealed. This is a figure with short white hair. Not only her hair is white, but her eyelashes are also white. However, upon closer inspection, what was different from the past was that there were traces of ice stains on his white hair and white eyebrows. And at this moment, boom, the moment the eyes opened, a pair of ice blue eyes with icy mist also bloomed between heaven and earth. Beautiful. This is a pair of beautiful eyes. It doesn't seem to belong to the world. It actually broke through. In a daze, Lu Zimo also felt the changes in his body. He actually stepped directly into the 9th level of the entry level. This time, he has completely caught up with the first echelon of mankind. Even the witch in the magic capital, he is not false. Moreover, he didn't just break through the 9th level. Slowly raise your right hand. Boom. Amidst the surge of spiritual power, there was actually an ice lotus condensed in the palm of your hand. Sometimes blooming, sometimes withering. But it is a solid ice attribute power. Ice elemental talent awakening. Make Lu Zimo truly control the ice. This kind of talent is also the top among human beings. This is a world where spiritual energy is revived. Most people in the Spiritual Energy Bureau have awakened their talents and set foot on the road of evolution. And Lu Zimo, because of the awakening of the system, integrated the template of Gojo Satoru, and then set foot on the road of evolution. But now this spiritual flower, the Ice Lotus, was actually guiding him in awakening the ice element talent. A very terrible talent. Elemental talent. Very scary. It is no exaggeration to call it the top talent. Even the elemental talent, ice, which is not known for its destructive power, has its own terror. Like now, amidst the surge of spiritual power, an ice blue long sword condensed in Lu Zimo's palm. Shape. This is the unique means of ice element control. However, at this time, if you pay attention, you will definitely find that the ice blue long sword in Lu Zimo's hand is as beautiful as a work of art. And this is the power of his 6 eyes. His 6 eyes made his control of spiritual power reach an incredible level. Can be easily manipulated and shaped. It is rude to say that in terms of shaping, even an extraordinary person who has been awakened by ice element talent for many years is not as good as Lu Zimo, who awakened overnight. The power of 6 eyes is truly terrifying. With a sigh, Lu Zimo also clenched his fists. Crack! The ice blue long sword shattered in an instant, turning into ice crystals scattered in the night sky. For Lu Zimo, the awakening of elemental talent is more of a icing on the cake. Rather than qualitative change, he has the power of Gojo Satoru, enough to. However, elemental talent is not bad. After all, it is the top talent in this world. If it is simply developed, it can also become a trump card. Like now, suddenly breaking through the air, Lu Zimo teleported to a rock wall. And at the next moment, raise your hand. Boom. Hearing a loud noise, an ice blue spear stabbed out of Lu Zimo's palm. Stab, stab, a very clear and crisp sound. In the middle, the entire rock wall was shaken. The power is not bad. Sighing softly, Lu Zimo was also satisfied when he looked at the ice blue long sword that penetrated more than half a meter deep into the rock wall. Maybe his spiritual power is pure enough. Maybe he has 6 eyes, an ice blue long sword shaped, extraordinarily sturdy. Whatever the reason, it does not affect a fact. That is the long sword he shaped, sharp enough to be more than enough as a weapon. With a heart-to-head smile, Lu Zimo also properly studied his new talent for a while. I have to say that it is very good for Hanbing to control this talent. No wonder, this talent is known as the top talent. Terrible chill, weird shape, most importantly, the unique destructive power of the elemental talent. Like now, with one foot stomped on the ground. Shish, shish, shish. In the continuous sound of breaking the air, there are hundreds of ice thorns rising from the ground. If there is a mutant beast, I am afraid that it will be the first time to pierce. Moreover, what is even more exaggerated is that these thousands of ice thorns are actually covering tens of meters. In terms of coverage alone, the coverage area is far beyond the imagination of others. And that's the elemental talent. There are countless auras in the air. These auras resonate with the elemental talents, and then they can explode the destructive power far beyond the imagination of ordinary powerhouses. It's still ice. If fire, thunder, I am afraid that everything around me will be destroyed. However, the ice is already good. Not bad for Lu Zimo, at least. He likes the shaping of the ice element talent very much. Moreover, the further development of ice element control, the power should not be underestimated. Not to mention, the chill that freezes everything alone has great development value. It is rumored that the elemental talent such as Hanbing's control is developed to the extreme, and it can even freeze time based on the coldness alone. And this, although it is a legend, but it is also enough to reflect the horror of ice talent. Gojo Satoru of the Luzimo fusion, his powers relate to space to a certain extent. And the talent he has awakened now, developed to the extreme, may touch time. Time, space. If it is true that he can control everything, it may not be a joke to push the world. For now, though, Luzimo won't give much thought to this new talent. It is still based on the power of Gojo Satoru. After all, this talent is just a surprise. It's the icing on the cake. Not a real qualitative change. Enriched Luzimo's means, but did not allow him to greatly increase his combat power. Step into the 9th level. It was an unexpected awakening of an elemental talent. Luzimo's deep mountain experience this time can be regarded as a complete success. Now he is strong, really strong. At least, Luzimo didn't feel like someone could threaten him. However, slowly raising his eyes, watching the countdown. The last word, Luzimo also squinted slightly. There are still 2 days. While whispering softly, Luzimo also rubbed his eyebrows. In other words, in 2 days, the real spiritual recovery will come. What will the world look like at that time? Nobody knows. Even Luzimo doesn't know. However, it should be terrifying. After all, now, just overflowing with spiritual energy, there are so many extraordinary people coming out. Really, if the spiritual energy is completely restored, then an extremely strange and even terrifying era will come. So, slowly raising his steps, Luzimo is also preparing to leave the mountain and return to the city. Return to Hangzhou. At this time, what Luzimo didn't know was that the Scientific Research Institute of the Spiritual Power Bureau was shaking one after another. Report, it has been detected that the aura of the air is unusually active recently. Report, according to the survey, the number of supernatural beings awakened recently is far more than imagined, and the number of awakenings in a day is comparable to the previous half a month. Report, one after another, the expressions of countless staff members of the entire Lingley Bureau Scientific Research Institute changed slightly. What happened recently? Could it be that the tide of spiritual power is coming? The tide of spiritual power, isn't that just guessing? In the repeated exclamations, everyone was shocked. Psychic tide. This is a dissertation by an extraordinary scholar. In his thesis, he stated, aura is like a tide, it rises and falls. When it falls, all things die, and heaven and earth return to the so-called end of the law era. Martial arts, Taoism, and fairy methods are all reduced to legends. Myths return to reality. But when the spiritual energy rises like a tide, the whole world will usher in a real evolution. All things will usher in a new life, and all living beings will usher in a new era. Myths come, legends reappear. This paper caused a great sensation in Daxia, and was recognized by countless people. And now it seems so. It's really the tide of spiritual power. In a daze, the director of the Lingley Research Institute, an old man, also helped his glasses, thoughtfully. If it really is a spiritual tide, it would be a little scary. Now, that's all there is to it. There is really a tide of spiritual power, then the future. However, at this time, after thinking for a long time, the old man from the Lingley Research Institute also said bluntly, notify the major spiritual power bureaus and be on full alert. At the same time, inform the military and prepare for a crackdown. Listening quietly, countless people are also taking orders. And at this moment, what no one knew was, Blue Star, the depths of the sea. There, in the darkness without the sun, there was an inexplicable radiance surging. That's not brilliance. That's innumerable particles of light. Colorful, like a colorful liquid. This spiritual liquid spreads from the bottom up from the depths of the sea. Where they go, everything is changing. The rocks glowed dazzlingly. The seaweed swayed, growing like crazy. There are more deep-sea beasts one after another. Yelling up, roar. It seems that among the nays that came from ancient times, a very large head, with countless tentacles, is like a squid's life, and an extremely dazzling light erupts. It was dark. Unimaginable dark elements converge here. One after another, countless tentacles slammed into all directions like mountains. For a time, the entire sea area shook. However, this is just the beginning. Fizz, fizz. In the continuous neighing, a huge creature like a sea python was constantly struggling in the sea. It seemed to be in unimaginable pain. However, if you look closely, It was actually able to see countless colorful spiritual fluids rushing towards his body. The breath is rising. This mutant sea python, entering the 9th level, seems to have ushered in a transformation. Vaguely, it can be seen that there are several protruding bags around its neck. And shortly after, fizz, fizz, during the continuous neighing, 2 blood-colored heads gushed out from its neck. And just when these 2 heads appeared, the breath of this mutant sea python suddenly soared, as if there was no end, and it continued to climb. Mutations. One mutation after another, the entire depths of the sea seemed to usher in an era of evolution. Sea beasts, big and small, have ushered in evolution. Some body types, crazy growth. Some bodies grow strange organs. More than that, inexplicable changes have taken place. That 5-color liquid is eroding the entire sea. However, this is just the beginning. Because the 5-color liquid is constantly spreading. Bottom up, over the reefs, over the sea creatures. It's getting closer to land. And at the same time, in the depths of one continent after another. In that kilometer, or even 10,000 meters deep underground, there are actually 5 colors of spiritual liquid, spreading from bottom to top. A little bit up. In some places, it spread early. Just like this time, deep in Australia, in a famous Grand Canyon. Boom. In the sudden roar, there were countless colorful mists spraying out. Boom, boom, boom. In the continuous roar, it seemed like a volcanic eruption. But just as the colorful fog erupted, a terrifying aura rose up from the depths of this Grand Canyon. Looking carefully, a giant ape several meters high was actually shocked. The body keeps rising. In just a few short breaths, he was more than 10 meters tall. The blood keeps pouring out. Hair keeps growing. Roar, roar, roar. With one roar after another, this golden yellow giant ape also roared in the sky, constantly beating the ground. It seems very painful, but every time it beats, it is like a small earthquake. The whole canyon is shaking. What's even more exaggerated is, when it kept beating, his size actually increased further. It was not until more than 20 meters that it gradually stabilized. Roar. Suddenly, the roar of the rest of his life after the catastrophe, there was actually a blood-red beam of light gushing out from his mouth. Boom boom, boom boom. With an instant roar, a 100-meter-long gully appeared between the heavens and the earth. And at the same time, a very famous desert. The rustling sound continued to come out. Looking carefully, there is actually a black trend, sweeping the small half of the desert. That looks like a scorpion. Thousands of scorpions. However, these scorpions are huge. Each is the size of a basketball. And in the middle, there is a green scorpion several meters in size. Squeak. In the continuous neighing, this green scorpion seemed to sense something, and slammed into the beach. I felt the fluctuation of spiritual energy. So, it brought the group and came here. And now, keep digging deep into the desert. Until a certain moment, boom, in the sudden roar, the 5-color mist spewed from the depths of the desert. It is also to wrap this huge scorpion as much as possible. Squeak. In the terrifying neigh, the naked eye can see that all the grains of sand around this huge scorpion have crystallized. As crystal clear as glass. And this is impressively the talent of the scorpion, crystallization. Can crystallize everything. Very scary. It belongs to the element system, but it is different from the general element system. And this should be the leader among mutant beasts. It's just that it's not just this scorpion. All around the world, countless mutant beasts started the so-called transformation because of the imminent tidal wave of spiritual power. Not just mutant beasts. Even some plants have begun to change strangely. For example, in a very famous rainforest, a very gigantic, bizarre giant tree. Between its emerald green leaves and branches, there are flowers in full bloom. It is an instant from the flower to the bloom. At the same time, its trunk also began to grow wildly. 15 meters high, it has been pulled up again and again, as if there is no end. However, the most terrifying thing is that its countless branches continue to spread and grow. They open the soil and drill in at the same time, like a dragon entering the sea and tumbling, and it continues to spread to the entire rainforest. Of course, the main root of this giant tree will not be idle either. The main tree root keeps going deep into the ground, and the hard rock can't stop it at all. Boom, boom, boom. As the roar continued, its main tree roots reached at least 500 meters underground before it stopped. And the countless, small, roots on its main tree root are tightly attached to the rock like a spider web, covering a radius of at least 300 meters. Boom. In the inexplicable roar, it was this giant tree, the countless small roots of the tree root seemed to be absorbing something. There was a constant, gurgling, sound. Looking carefully, the roots of the trees deep in the ground are filled with 5 colored rays of light. And these 5 color rays of light, from bottom to top, continue to spread, are also rushing towards the canopy of this giant tree. Mutations. Incredible variation. The evolution of this giant tree seems to be beyond imagination. And at this moment, countries around the world seem to have discovered something, and they have begun to be vigilant. An extremely terrifying spiritual power fluctuation was detected, rising from the depths of the earth. What? In the sudden exclamation, it was the face of the top officials of the Holy Shield of the Freedom Alliance that changed drastically. Holy Shield. The extraordinary power of the Free Alliance, which belongs to the country. Just like the Spiritual Power Bureau of the Great Sha Kingdom. However, unlike the Spiritual Power Bureau, the treatment of the Shield in the Free Alliance is not very good. More extraordinary people are reluctant to join the Aegis. So much so that the extraordinary system of the Free Alliance, until now, it has not been fully established. Even, many extraordinary people, in the name of freedom, show their power everywhere. Call yourself a hero. And this information, all the Great Sha Kingdom is blocked. Whether other countries are in chaos, they don't care. But the Great Sha Kingdom must not be chaotic. Therefore, until now, countless people in Daxia Kingdom are very vague about transcendence. It's just that occasionally, news of some extraordinary people will come out from time to time. And now, Shield is shaking. Huge spiritual power fluctuations came from the depths of the earth. What are you kidding? This, shouldn't it be? Between the shocks, the drastic changes have already struck. It's just that most of the people don't know. It was late at night, and many people were still sleeping. In a trance, it's another quiet night. But it was such a night. In the Great Sha Kingdom, deep in a certain mountain, a small village. There was actually a hazy multicolored mist that emerged arrogantly. And then the whole village is shrouded. My body. Ah, ah, a shrill scream cut through the night. Countless villagers were the first to get up. But not long after, what they saw was a villager with a very swollen body. It seems like I can't stand it. Countless colorful mists rushed towards his body. What is this? This mist. My God, what happened to the third brother? No. With repeated exclamations, everyone's faces changed drastically. Many people called the police immediately. But to their astonishment, no signal at all. Some are just roar, 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 roar. In the roar after another, countless mutant beasts in the depths of the mountains noticed this amazing aura fluctuation and came slowly. Night is deep, the village is still, but an indescribable depression has permeated the world. As if something terrible happened. At this time, if you pay attention, you will definitely be able to find that not only that one villager, but other villagers have also changed more or less. Under such a strong spiritual energy, it is strange that there is no mutation. There was a villager with scales like fish scales appearing on his body. There is a villager, his arms have become extremely thick. However, among these mutant villagers, the most notable one should be a young girl. A very cute and playful girl. Her eyes are calm, her hands are behind her back, as if she has already noticed something. She is the sacrificial girl of the village generation. Old villages always have some quirky traditions. And their villages have always had a tradition of offering sacrifices. And Linger is the sacrificial girl of this generation. But, she has a secret. 2 or 3 years ago, she seemed to have awakened some power, wisps of flames ignited from her. Moreover, her long black hair turned reddish-brown. Still, it's fine. Hair seems to be changing back. The problem is not big. However, what Linger didn't expect was that this time it wasn't just her, the villagers began to mutate one after another. During a moment of silence, Linger raised her brows and looked into the depths of the mountain. Roar, roar, the terrifying roars kept on. The earth began to vibrate inexplicably. It was as if some kind of terror was coming. I have to deal with the trouble again. Jumping and jumping, this young girl who first awakened to extraordinary powers, as always, picked up a long spear not far away. She should be the first awakened superhuman. It's the first generation. After 3 years of training, her strength is very good. Especially in the aspect of combat power, fighting with mutant beasts for a long time, silently guarding the villagers. She has already polished extremely terrifying skills. Still, have to admit, this little cutie is a genius. True genius, although only a few simple tricks. But her combat power is probably even more terrifying than some geniuses in the Spiritual Power Bureau. And if this is known to the major spiritual power bureaus, I am afraid that one by one will jump up excitedly. Only 16 now, awakening at the age of 13 or 14. Even in the deep mountains and forests alone, he has polished a very terrifying skill. Even, she has already set foot on the 7th entry level. Isn't that what genius is? No, maybe more than just a genius, that's simple. Tonight, the stars are bright and the moon phase is magnificent, it must be a good day. The laughter was like a silver bell, but this girl was like an elf, jumping and jumping, completely submerging into the night. Tonight, sleepless for her. At this time, Lu Zimo didn't know the changes in the world. Walking in the mountains, he is as always. It's like a stroll in the garden. The posture flashes and disappears from time to time. It's like teleportation, and this is indeed teleportation. Not long after, he came to the exit of the mountain. There, fireworks went up. There is a military camp. And not long after, simply saying hello to the officers, Lu Zimo also kindly reminded. The mountain may be extremely unsettled these 2 days, be careful. Saying that, Lu Zimo also dragged him behind his back, and threw the giant python with more than half of his body left into the square of the military camp. These are left to you, I can't take them away anyway. The moment the words fell, Lu Zimo also got into the off-road vehicle and rushed directly towards Hangchang. Left alone, many figures looked at each other in dismay. He came out alive. Wait, this is important, shouldn't the focus now be on this mutant python? It's more than 10 meters tall, what are you kidding? I wipe, this guy, when he came back just now, was dragged by one hand. A dozen of us can't seem to lift it. Forehead. In the repeated exclamations, even the leading officer looked in the direction where Lu Zimo was leaving, he couldn't help but be horrified. Is this the transcendent standing at the apex? Kind of scary. ... And for these, Lu Zimo doesn't know. Now, he went straight to Hangchang. Time passed slowly, and a day passed in a blink of an eye. After rushing all night, he finally returned to Hangchang. There is no such thing as a welcome. There is no such thing as a welcome ceremony. It was just that Lu Zimo pushed open the door alone. Inside, everything is in order. Not even dust, as if someone cleaned it up. It's her. While whispering softly, Lu Zimo also looked to the next door. There is Lin Xiaoyi's room. When leaving, Lu Zimo handed the key to Lin Xiaoyi. It looks like she cleaned it. But, this time, touching his cheeks, Lu Zimo couldn't help recalling the warmth of his cheeks when he parted that night. Ah! With a sigh, Lu Zimo went to the bathroom. Crash, crash, crash. With the continuous sound of water, Lu Zimo has started his long-lost hot water bath. Only, slowly raising his hand. During the chill, the flowing warm water actually continued to condense, until it turned into icicles. This chill is terrifying. ... After taking a shower, I changed into a set of clean clothes. Can't wait for Lu Zimo to rest. ... There are knocks on the door again and again. A familiar figure. The queen, the card girl, is playing cards in her hand, with a smile. Food King, still holding a bag of potato chips. And Yanquan, raised his head, revealing his freckled face under his hat. And in the end, it was Lin Xiaoyi. I haven't seen you for a few days, this girl seems to be more beautiful. A long black hair is scattered behind him, and the skin is as white as ice and snow, and it has a transparent texture under the skin. There is a faint light flowing. You're back. Among the very surprised voices, Lin Xiaoyi also had an indescribable excitement. Nodding slightly, Lu Zimo also invited everyone to enter the house. And shortly after this, looking deeply at Lu Zimo, Yanquan's pupils shrank again. There was a look of disbelief deep in his eyes. I can't see through your strength. Eyes widened, Yanquan was direct. However, it is. During this period of time, he set foot on the 8th level of entry. How can it be impossible for him to see through? In the past, Lu Zimo's combat power was terrifying. But his cultivation base can still be seen through at a glance. At least, it can be detected. However, now, release the perception, an indescribable depression, also makes Yanquan's face change slightly. I was lucky enough to break through the 9th level of entry. There is no hidden meaning of cultivation. But Lu Zimo's words still made Yanquan, the queen, and, stunned in place. Entering the 9th level, what are you kidding? In just a few days, he jumped 2 levels in a row. Don't talk about them. Even Lu Zimo was a little stunned. Good luck, though. Who asked him to find an extraordinary spirit flower and an entry-level 9th level mutant beast? So, the breakthrough is understandable. It's just that he can understand it, but others can't. Especially the Fire Fist. After confirming again and again, he has already stood up. I'll kill Kinling now. Forehead. After a while of silence, Lu Zimo also took a sip of tea and said calmly. No need, after tonight. You have mutated beasts that you can't kill. In a very calm voice, Lu Zimo also looked at the final countdown. It's only been 6 hours. It took him more than a day to come back. Bath again, repair again, and now, it's only 6 hours away from the real aura recovery. Very delicate time. At this time, listening to Lu Zimo's voice, Yanquan was also stunned. Unkillable mutant beast, what do you mean? In some stunned, Yanquan is also puzzled. As an extraordinary person controlled by elements, can't you feel anything? Forehead. After a while of silence, Yanquan also closed his eyes decisively. Boom. With a sudden roar, his mind was shocked. Flame. An unimaginable flame is burning. The element of fire in the air is extremely active. What's even more shocking is, the fire element concentration in the air is rising at a speed visible to the naked eye. This. Eyes widened. Yanquan also looked out the window for the first time. Not just this one room. The whole night sky. The fire element concentration is rising. From Yanquan's perspective, the world seems to have turned into a fiery red. The brighter and the more terrifying. The real aura recovery is here. Slowly walking to the window, overlooking the city. Lu Zimo also spoke meaningfully. Do not know why. He is looking forward to inexplicable expectations. Real aura recovery. Somewhat stunned, Yanquan was also puzzled. However, Lu Zimo did not explain too much. But, slowly raised the cup in his hand and pointed it out the window. What does he seem to be honoring? His expression was solemn and solemn. This cup, as a tribute to the past, to the old era that is about to be lost. In the heart-to-head murmur, Lu Zimo is also complicated. The aura recovered and entered the final countdown. The world is about to change. In the future, no one knows what will happen. However, Lu Zimo believes that he will stand in the new era. Just because power is the foundation of everything. Slow time, slow passing. Yanquan, Shi Wang and others left one after another. Leave Lin Xiaoyi alone, in Lu Zimo's room. She was clearing the table and cleaning. These should have been done by dedicated people. However, Lu Zimo doesn't like outsiders into his house. Therefore, now it is more that Lin Xiaoyi is doing. As for whether she is an outsider, who knows? Lu Zimo is also not sure. And at this moment, after finishing everything, Lin Xiaoyi also came over and asked. Mo, you seem to have something on your mind today. Wei Wei nodded. Lu Zimo also said bluntly. Be patient, tonight is destined to be unforgettable. Forehead. In the silence of the array, Lin Xiaoyi also looked out the window thoughtfully. It came from the girl's sixth sense, telling her that there seemed to be something extraordinary tonight. However, just as Lu Zimo was waiting for the countdown to reset to 0, Hangcheng Spirit Power Bureau was completely shaken. Ding, it was detected that there is a shocking fluctuation of spiritual power in the southeast of Hangcheng. Ding, it was detected that there is an amazing spiritual power fluctuation in the northwest of Hangcheng. Ding, it is detected that there are amazing spiritual power fluctuations in the east of Hangcheng. The sound followed by a sound of reminders shook the entire Spiritual Power Bureau, and it also shook countless staff members. What happened? What's the matter? Repeated exclamation. Countless staff are puzzled. However, at this moment, report to the commander. According to the information from other spiritual power bureaus, there are outbreaks everywhere tonight. Furthermore, there is news from the Yanjing General Office of Spiritual Power. Let us be careful. There may be drastic changes tonight. Listening quietly, Luo Ju, the director of Hangzhou Spiritual Power Bureau, also changed slightly. Upheaval, but not waiting for him to be more astonished. Boom, boom, boom. A sound followed by a sound of roar, slammed out in Hangchang. No, not only Hangchang, but all over the world. One after another, spiritual light beams erupted from the ground. Straight to 9 days. Light up the night. This is the aura beam of light. Countless auras spread from the earth. It erupted like a volcano. And just at the moment when these aura light beams jet, the whole night sky is filled with colorful light rain. Boom, boom, boom. In the midst of the repeated roars, the entire Hangchang people were stunned. Keep walking out of the house. Countless people have seen it, the aura of light that spews from the ground. What is that? Oh my God. This beam of light is. Quote. In the repeated exclamations, countless people were dumbfounded. However, not only them, but even the Spiritual Power Bureau, looking at the beam of light gushing forth from the ground, was stunned. Is this the legendary aura recovery? In a daze, Luo Ju couldn't help but lose his mind. But at this moment, stab, stab, in the sound of the continuous arcs, and in the horrified gazes of the countless staff members, their various instruments were glowing with electric lights. Immediately afterwards, one after another light curtain ushered in a black screen. Forehead. During the silence of the array, everyone was dumbfounded. Even Luo Ju was stunned. What happened? In the very stunned voice, Luo Ju also asked. Returning to Luo Ju, it seems that these gushing spiritual light beams have affected the magnetic field of Blue Star. The magnetic field in our Hangzhou area is disordered, and most of the instruments are ineffective. Listening quietly, Luo Ju was also stunned. Failed? What are you kidding? At this juncture, all kinds of instruments actually fail. Can it be repaired? In some nervous voices, Luo Ju also asked. We have sent people to repair it as soon as possible. However, according to the current situation, it is not our Hangzhou. The same situation has happened in all major cities. The magnetic field is disordered. Except for spiritual power, the Bureau's specially made spiritual mobile phone, many other instruments are ineffective. In other words, we lost the possibility of testing the whole city and communicating with the outside world. Also, just now, we said that there are 7 aura light pillars spraying out near Hangzhou. These places where the aura light pillars are spraying may change greatly. Animals and humans will keep mutating. It's not scary, though. What's really terrifying is, we just detected that there is a pillar of spiritual energy that erupted from the Hangcheng Zoo. Sound after another, the face of this staff member couldn't help but change greatly. Hangtown Zoo. That place is actually a pillar of spiritual power rising. This is a big deal. As a nearby city, the largest zoo, Hangcheng Zoo gathers countless animals. Although, there have been repeated cleanups by the military and the Spiritual Power Bureau. But it has always been the focus of monitoring. However, now, a light beam of spiritual power has erupted from the Hangzhou Zoo. What's even more terrifying is that countless spiritual light rains poured down. This, Golem. After swallowing, a staff member said nervously. Luo Ju, if it really exploded at the Hangcheng Zoo, sending out a beam of spiritual energy, how many mutant beasts would spawn? Moreover, if they escaped from the zoo, it would be the same as the outbreak of a beast tide in the center of our Hangzhou. The level of terror is beyond imagination. Yes, beyond imagination. Countless mutant animals rushed out of Hangcheng Zoo. Their claws ripped through steel. They are as fast as cars. The swarms are pouring into the city. Most of humans' weapons will be limited, such as artillery, machine gun. These large-scale destructive weapons, can they still be used? Certainly can't be used. The reason is that the number of people in the city far exceeds that of mutant beasts. Really carpet bombing. Countless people are afraid that they will die under the fire of their own people. So, Not only this one staff member thought of this, but even Luoju also thought of it. Call. Taking a deep breath, CDDD, and suppressing the shock of his heart, Luoju also ordered immediately. Immediately notify all supernatural beings. Go to the place where the aura erupts and suppress the mutant beasts. Especially the Hangchang Zoo. Send Yangquan, Shiwang and others over there. Don't let any of the mutant beasts rush out of the blockade. Sound followed by another order, and the entire Spiritual Power Bureau also started to run at a high speed. At this moment, Lu Zimo, who was still in the apartment, also noticed the abnormality. Under the blindfold, icy blue eyes with white mist bloomed quietly. Lu Zimo also saw the world of drastic changes. One after another, the aura light beams soared into the sky. The diameter alone is tens of meters in size. The most exaggerated is the direction of Hangzhou Zoo, which is a full 100 meters. The terrifying aura is constantly pouring out. Roar, 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 roar. The continuous beast roar also suddenly resounded throughout Hangzhou. It was the roar of the mutant beast. More than just Hangchang Zoo. There are countless pets kept in captivity by humans. Although, the aura beam is bursting in other directions. But the aura concentration in the air is constantly increasing. Not a few pets with extraordinary talents. All have begun to awaken. For example, a golden retriever. Wong wong wong. Wong wong wong. In the midst of the repeated roars, in a certain community, the hair of a golden retriever continued to grow wildly, and the sharp claws that had been trimmed many times were extended little by little. What's the matter with you, Akin? Covering her mouth, a girl is looking not far away in disbelief. There, a golden retriever several times bigger than before, is screaming in pain. Roar, roar, as if suppressing something, the golden retriever's complexion is constantly twisted. Even with bloodshot in the depths of the eyes. However, what is surprising is that even though it has mutated because of aura, even at this moment, it was extremely painful. Even though it has never raised its claws against its master. It is trying to suppressing the body, the gradually awakened beast. Just, at this moment, meow, in the midst of the very mournful neighing, in the depths of the night, a mutant black cat seemed to have found its prey and rushed towards the girl not far away. The raised claws are constantly extending. In the blink of an eye, the sharp claws of this mutant black cat also approached the girl's neck. But don't wait for this, a mutant black cat to really get close. Roar. A sudden roar resounded through the night sky, and it was actually a mutated golden retriever not far away, which slammed out and bit the body of this mutated black cat fiercely. Crack. As if the bones were broken, the mutant black cats let out a shrill neigh. And this golden retriever is even more mixed with blood, chewing continuously. Until the mouth is full of blood. Oh my God. In the exclamation of disbelief, this girl also retreated again and again, staring at the huge golden dog bathed in blood not far away. Is this really the golden retriever she is familiar with? No. She's still the same golden retriever. Even if the shape changes, but its familiar gaze will not change. And now, as if he sensed something, this golden retriever with a huge body also slowly turned around and looked into the depths of the night. There, a pair of eyes filled with bloodshot eyes, quietly emerged. The night is deep, but Hangchang has ushered in a real upheaval. Countless humans and even animals have undergone inexplicable changes. Roar, roar. In the middle of the roars, it was actually a very burly man with black hair gushing out of his body in the middle of an apartment in Hangchang. Awakening again. Beast awakening. Part of the animal's organs and even hair appeared in the body. And then had some of the animal's power. And at the same time, don't want. The mournful screams came to an abrupt end, and in a 3-bedroom, 1-bedroom residence, blood was already flowing. One figure after another fell to the ground. Looking closely, there was actually a mutant lizard that was a full 1 meter long. What was it eating on the corpse? That's the owner of this dwelling, a captive lizard. But now, it's actually mutated. And even more violent attacks. So much so that the whole family, all died. Deep night. Lu Zimo, Yangquan, Shi Wang, the Queen and Lin Xiaoyi gathered in one place. Just now, the Spiritual Power Bureau urgently notified us to rush to the Hangzhou Zoo as soon as possible to suppress the beast tide. In the sudden opening, the food king who often eats snacks is also uncharacteristically serious. Is it urgent? Somewhat stunned, the queen card girl was also curious. Very urgent. Nodding heavily, Shi Wang also said bluntly. It is said that the aura exploded on a large scale, and Hangzhou underwent drastic changes, and many animals and even humans mutated. However, our primary goal this time is Hangzhou Zoo, and we will never allow the mutant beasts there to gather, and even break out of the blockade. At present, the military is the first to suppress. Sound after another, the food king also looked at Lu Zimo and sighed. Everything is as you expected, tonight is really a big change. The more active elements in the air have been reminding us. Sound echo in response, Lu Zimo also got on the locomotive not far away. Not only him, the rest of the people also rode their own motorcycles. As for off-road vehicles, or other vehicles, is it really possible to go on the road at this time? Even if you close your eyes, you can know that Hangcheng is in chaos now. The traffic on the various roads must be chaotic. If you really drive an off-road vehicle in the past, I'm afraid it will be blocked. So, let's go. With a sharp acceleration, Lu Zimo was the first to roll up the dust and rush towards the Hangcheng Zoo. It is worth mentioning that Lin Xiaoyi still sits behind Lu Zimo as always. She can't ride a bike. As for placing it in the Spiritual Power Bureau, sorry, can't. According to the requirements of the Spiritual Power Bureau, anyone who has stepped into the second level and has a certain level of combat power needs to be dispatched. This time, the situation is very serious. Seriously, the magnetic field is disordered. The signal is widely disconnected. At least, Lu Zimo's mobile phone can't access the internet. And now, call. Taking a deep breath, Lu Zimo also kept accelerating. Boom, boom, boom. With a roar after another, Lu Zimo, who was riding a motorcycle, was rushing towards the Hangcheng Zoo at an extremely terrifying speed. What he saw made Lu Zimo's pupils shrink. Traffic is already chaotic. On the road, many cars were parked at will, with black smoke rising. Even a few cars are on fire. It looks like a serious car accident. And on such a road, beast roars can be heard from time to time. Roar, 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 roar. Between the repeated roars, a mutant wild dog was constantly biting at a private car. Inside the car, there was a suspected family of 3, huddled together. You go first, I'll take care of it. Suddenly, the queen card, not far away, suddenly raised her jade finger. Just listen to the sound of breaking through the air, and a card lashes out like a bullet. Stab. Suddenly, it was this specially made card that wiped the neck of a mutant wild dog. Leave it to the queen, we have more important things, love. The statement said that the elder food king also spoke. Although here, there are many tragedies. But the Hangzhou Zoo is the key. There is the place where the aura exploded on a large scale. There are countless animals. If only they were given time, let them complete their evolution. The consequences are unimaginable, and at that time, the tragedy will be 100 times greater than the current one, and it will explode. At this time, Hangzhou Zoo. The dazzling aura light beam is still gushing out. Although it is a lot sparser than before. But there is still an amazing gathering of spiritual energy. And in such a place where spiritual energy gathers. Roar, 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 roar. In the continuous roar, one beast after another has undergone extremely terrifying changes. It is visible to the naked eye, a black gorilla, whose body is constantly rising. In just a few short breaths, he was actually several meters tall. You must know that the Hangzhou Zoo is the key monitoring site of the Spiritual Power Bureau. Once the beast here mutates, it will inevitably be dragged into the laboratory for the first time. But now, such a black gorilla was suddenly several meters high and directly stepped into the 5th level. As you can imagine, what does this mean? That is, it's just a few minutes. From an ordinary giant ape, it has evolved to the 5th level. This is exaggerated. However, thinking that these beasts are more or less nourished by spiritual energy, their bodies are much stronger. It is also understandable. They have already adapted to the aura in advance. And now, the unimaginable burst of spiritual energy is like a primer, completely detonating. Evolution. Continuous evolution. The transformation of the life level. The surge of power. Roar. While roaring up to the sky, this black gorilla, several meters high, also kept beating his chest. And in the depths of its eyes, an unforgettable hatred emerged. Especially looking at the city of steel in the distance, it hates even more. It turned out that it came to this place a few years ago. Because of his disobedience to discipline, he often yelled at tourists and staff, which made him beaten many times. Yes, the real beating. Although, at that time, its wisdom was not high, but hatred is such a thing. It seems that it does not need much wisdom to remember. A cold steel cage, with scars all over. Beat after beat again. It finally exploded on this night. Roar. In the more violent roar, this mutant gorilla suddenly grabbed the iron fence of the zoo. Boom. With a sudden roar, the iron fence that was originally extremely hard actually shattered like paper. And this time, it's not just this, a mutant gorilla. More mutant beasts also rushed out from every corner of the zoo. There were even mutant beasts rushing out of the dense jungle. Boom, boom, boom. In the midst of the continuous roar, the earth began to tremble. Like an army of thousands of horses, charging. However, at this time, what these mutant beasts don't know is, what awaits them will be the artillery fire that humans have long placed near the zoo. Although the artillery fire is not much, but there are still some artillery fire to resist several rounds of offensive shooting. In the sudden roar, a soldier also looked at the mutant beast charging from the zoo. Da da da, da da da, da da da, da da da. In the midst of the continuous roar, the machine guns that had already been set up were spitting out tongues of flame. Countless bullets rushed towards the distant mutant beasts like raindrops. Roar, roar, roar. In the midst of a very mournful roar, the mutant beast rushing in front of him did not even hold the first round of firepower and became a sieve. After all, it is a preliminary variation. Not yet to the point of being hard against bullets. Just, at this moment. Tread, step. During the repeated vibrations, a mutant gorilla several meters high was running frantically. Every time it took a step, the ground would vibrate hugely. At the same time, a loud noise also accompanies it. It wants to kill all human beings and all those who have harmed it. After the mutation, it has amazing vision and hearing. And now, looking at the tongues of fire that were constantly breathing in the distance, this mutant gorilla also picked up a stone from the ground. Not big, basketball size, but it's such a stone. Boom. In the midst of the sudden roar, this mutant gorilla suddenly threw the stone in his hand. Like a shooting star, it crossed hundreds of meters. Then, boom, accompanied by a loud bang, several soldiers did not even have time to respond, and were drowned in the huge roar. Dust billows, rocks burst. One figure after another also fell into the pool of blood, with a face full of disbelief. What? With an exclamation, many soldiers were stunned. However, at this moment, in the midst of the terrifying neigh, there was actually a mutated giant eagle rushing down from the sky. Stab. Just listening to the sound of the separation of flesh and blood, the arms of a figure were torn apart by this mutant giant eagle. Lock up. Amidst the shrill screams, this figure also fell into a pool of blood. War. The real war finally broke out at this time. However, at this moment, what no one noticed was that one locomotive after another arrived far away. Looks like the time is just right. In the softly narrated in, Lou Zemo also got off the locomotive. Not only him, but the other supernatural beings who came to get off the locomotive one after another. Look up. Imprinted in their eyes, hundreds of mutant beasts attacked from the end of the earth. And not far from them, there are hundreds of soldiers, armed with heavy firepower weapons. Hangzhou is a city after all. Will not have too many troops stationed. Hundreds are the limit. This is the beginning, it's starting. Licking his mouth, the Food King also looked at the battlefield. Yes, it does. Nodding his head, Lou Zemo looked at the Food King and said, "Remember to take care of Wen Shalin Xiaoyi." As he said that, he accelerated sharply and attacked in the direction of the beast swarm. Not only him, even Flame Fist rushed towards the beast tide for the first time. Hey! In the sudden exclamation, a soldier seemed to be aware of them and shouted for the first time. But in the next moment, his eyes were frozen. Just because, the two figures rushing towards at extreme speed. A figure was actually full of extremely explosive flames. Boom! In the sudden roar, a flaming fist several meters in size rushed towards the beast tide. And at the same time, with a grin, Lu Zimo no longer concealed his strength. In the midst of the thunderous shout, there was an extremely terrifying red linear impact airflow blasting towards the beast tide not far away. Boom, boom, boom. In the continuous roar, the earth was blown up with earth waves several meters high. And the mutant peacock that was rushing towards him didn't even have time to react, and it turned into blood foam. In a daze, the soldiers who just wanted to shout were all stunned. What happened? Not only him, other soldiers are also curious. Although, they more or less know the supernatural. But the problem is, knowing is not the same as seeing. Also, these two, even more different, just because, their destructive power. It doesn't seem to be an ordinary horror. Especially now, Black Flash. During the violent drinking again, Lu Zimo suddenly clenched his fists and threw it out. A fine black arc flashed across the fist. A mutant wild boar, which was several laps larger than the ordinary wild boar, rushed forward and flew out. It flew straight for dozens of meters. It will even knock many mutant beasts flying along the way. As for this mutant wild boar, its bones are already broken, it can't die any longer. Kill. They must never be allowed to leave the reserve. Rush me. During the continuous roars, the superhumans who came one after another rushed out one after another. Someone is manipulating the flow of water. Wrist-thick water, like a snake, shuttles through the battlefield. This is a water snake, a very ordinary 4th-level superhuman. Although, he is controlled by the water element. But his control over the water element is limited to the flow of water. This is also the reason why his ability is only recognized as AB grade. But even so, under his repeated development, the water flow he controls is like a spirit snake, with extremely terrifying lethality. Like now, quote. In the sudden piercing of the sky, a stream of water with a thick wrist suddenly rushed from the mouth of a mutated snake. Then, hiss, a very mournful neighing sound, from the beginning to the end, penetrated in an instant, setting off a bloody sky. And on the other side, black feathers scattered in the sky. Like an angel descending. However, this was just a superhuman who entered the 5th level. Named, Black Wing. 0. Talent is to have a pair of black wings. And now, as the black wings spread, they also swept across the night sky. The machine gun in his hand even fired, which started a continuous strafing. Da da da, da da da. The flames continued, and the bullets fell like raindrops, mercilessly hitting the beast tide. For a while, the blood was a little bit. It also left countless soldiers and even the surrounding residents stunned. What is this? Superpowers, mutants, are the recent legends true? What legend? Legends of the capable people. Didn't someone ignite spontaneously recently, or someone manipulated the ice? They disappeared mysteriously in the end. In the midst of repeated exclamations, and above the high-rise buildings in the distance, countless residents witnessed all this with their own eyes. Even individual residents' bodies began to undergo inexplicable changes. Here, close to Hengchang Natural Zoo. It is the place where the spiritual energy explodes. Unimaginable aura filled the air. Not only animals, but even humans, will mutate one after another and begin to truly evolve. Like now, a young woman who is watching the battlefield. Suddenly I feel that my vision is different. Looking closely, there was a red light in the depths of her eyes. What is even more shocking is that the focal length of her line of sight keeps changing, until she sees things that are thousands of meters away. Mutations. Variation of eyes. It was astonishing. And for these, Lu Zimo doesn't care. At this time, he walks on the battlefield on. Facing one by one rampant mutant beasts, the corners of his mouth were slightly upturned, setting off a subtle arc. Slowly raised right hand. Kang. With a chuckle, the two mutant beasts collided in an instant. It was as if a terrifying suction force broke out between them, sucking them ruthlessly. Then, boom, only a loud noise was heard, blood splashed, and the blood in the sky was scattered around Lu Zimo. However, at this time, if you look closely, you will definitely find that when the bloody sky is approaching Lu Zimo, it slows down slowly, until it stops. Unlimited spell, Lu Zimo's core ability. It can make the object closer to you, the slower the speed, until you can never get close to yourself. This is a terrifying ability. especially in the battlefield. The horror of this ability is even more extreme. Visible to the naked eye, from a meter away, there is nothing that can approach Luzimo, including so-called attacks. Now Luzimo, the surrounding is like a field of absolute stillness. Ha, ha, a sound followed by a sound of breaking through the air, splashing blood, occasionally bursting out the breath of spiritual power. Even a lot of bullets. All stopped in front of Luzimo. Just, unfortunately, few people notice this scene. The battlefield is too chaotic, and Luzimo is single-handedly rushing into the beast tide. Even if anomalies are occasionally detected, they will only suspect that it is an illusion. After all, who can believe this scene? With a heart-to-head smile, Luzimo also accelerated and rushed deeper. He noticed that in the depths of Hengchang-zu, there are more terrifying mutant beasts. Maybe evolution, maybe dormant, and now, they are Luzimo's prey. What is Gojo doing? Somewhat stunned, the Food King, who was still with the mutant beast, also noticed a scene from afar. A white-haired figure, walking alone, actually rushed into the entire beast tide. He seems to be going deep into the beast tide. Somewhat stunned, Lin Xiaoyi guessed. Going deep into the beast tide, is he serious really? In the midst of the unbelievable voice sound, the Food King's face changed. Just because, at this moment, boom, with an extremely terrifying roar, the entire battlefield was shaken. Visible to the naked eye, a red straight line impacted the airflow, sweeping everything. The countless mutant beasts are rushed into the air. That's Luzimo's. The destructive power surpassed the imagination of the world, and the strong wind swept dozens of meters away. This is just the beginning. Boom, boom, boom. Among the continuous loud noises, a red straight line hits the airflow, and it has been continuously crossing the battlefield. Ding, you have killed a mutant white dove, energy point plus 20. Ding, you have beheaded a mutant wild boar, energy point plus 40. Ding, you have already beheaded a mutant snake, energy point plus 30. Among the continuous reminders, the corners of Luzimo's mouth also twitched slightly. Sure enough, this is what he really expected. There is no end to the killing. Use on field time after time harvest. This is the new era to come. And at this moment, a sudden roar came from a distance. Looking around, it turned out to be a mutant chimpanzee several meters high. On the ground, he picked up one stone after another, and kept smashing it into the distance. The small stone, in his hands, was like a grenade, extremely terrifying. With a sneer, Luzimo also stepped up. His posture crossed the beast tide in an instant. This is teleportation. Shorten the distance between the starting point and the ending point, and the impact is like a big truck. Several mutant beasts flew upside down on Luzimo's teleportation path. Although, Luzimo intentionally hides his abilities. But in the beast tide, he wouldn't care about these. One is that few people pay attention. The second is that in the real battlefield, there are too many variables. If you hide it at will, the consequences may be unbearable. Therefore, with some reservations, Luzimo also doesn't mind revealing some abilities so that he can walk on the battlefield better. And now, after a series of teleports, Luzimo also crossed hundreds of meters and came to this mutant gorilla. It has thick hair. The figure is even more huge. It's as high as a 2-story building. Roar, roar. In the roaring again and again, it is also beating its own chest with all its might, as if to prove something. Just, at this moment, eyes slightly condensed. It sees. I saw a figure close at hand. This is a human being. White hair, white eyes. Although, it's not very intelligent. But it can see that this is a very arrogant human being. With his hands in his pockets, that contemptuous look in his eyes is disgusting. Roar. In the sudden roar, the mutant gorilla did not hesitate. The right fist was clenched tightly, and it smashed towards the small figure on the ground ruthlessly. Boom. Only to hear a loud noise. It was the collision of fist and fist. This is Luzimo raising his fist. A fist, like a hill. A fist, just like a sandbag. Totally disproportionate. But it was just such a small fist that slammed into the mutant gorilla's fist. The mutant gorilla's face changed drastically. Boom boom. An unimaginable force continued to spread along its right arm. Crack, Click, only one sound after another was heard, and the bones hidden under the flesh of the mutant gorilla were all shattered. It was accompanied by a terrible shock. Boom. In the sudden roar, the extremely huge body of the mutant gorilla flew upside down. And at this moment, Lou Zemo's figure disappeared in an instant. When he appeared again, he actually appeared on the way of the mutant gorilla flying upside down. Death to me! Screaming loudly, Lou Zemo kicked violently. Boom! Accompanied by a terrifying loud sound, amidst the stunned eyes of countless people in the distance, an extremely large black creature flew into the sky, tens of meters high. From a distance, it looks like a black spot. What is that? My God, shouldn't that be? Eyes widened, the residents of many high-rise buildings all looked up to the sky. Compared to these ordinary people, many extraordinary people have recognized this behemoth. Chimpanzee. A mutant chimpanzee. How can that be? In the unimaginable horror, the extraordinary water snake was also stunned. A 2-story mutated chimpanzee, shuddering just looking at it. Just by looking at the size, it is also known how terrifying its tonnage is. But now, what did they see? Such a huge mutant gorilla could fly dozens of meters high in the sky. From a distance, it looks like being blown away. At this time, what they didn't know was that, this mutant gorilla was not blasted away. Instead, it kicked away. A ruthless kick that kicked a mutant gorilla that weighed several hundred kilograms, or even 1,000 kilograms, flying dozens of meters high. Such power is truly terrifying. And this is Lou Zemo. Even if he does not cultivate his body skills, with the repeated strengthening of the system, the strength of his body is far beyond the imagination of ordinary people. Chapter 61. Slowly raise your eyes. Glancing at the mutated gorilla falling from the sky, Lou Zemo is also looking forward to what happens next. Boom. Amidst the sudden loud noise, the mutant gorilla smashed into the ground ruthlessly, and his body was smashed into a big hole in the ground. Ding, you have killed a mutant gorilla, energy point +50. Quietly listening to the system prompt beeping in his ears, Lou Zemo's eyes narrowed slightly. Did not think of. Indirectly falling from a height and falling to his death can be regarded as his beheading. Death within a limited time can be counted as beheading by me. As long as it is because of my death, whether directly or indirectly, it is counted as beheading by me. Hardhead murmured. Lou Zemo was also guessing. The two guesses seem similar. But the second guess involves cause and effect, and even karma. Very mysterious. However, it is not worth looking into now. He simply confirmed it. Just guessing. Today, his strength is not very strong, thinking to really dig the system, he can't do it. So slowly, Lou Zemo also walked deeper into the beast tide. At this time, if you look back, you will definitely be able to see that even if it is as strong as Yanquan, it is still in a hard fight. He is strong. It can't stand the large number of mutant beasts. Especially some mutant beasts are not afraid of death, which is extremely difficult. As for Lou Zemo, he has Kang's extended usage, teleportation. Only, now, he is going to go deeper. That is the spiritual beam of light. Looking at the depths of the zoo from a distance, the multicolored beams of light gushing from the earth and reaching into the sky, Lou Zemo's face also showed a look of great interest. Animals mutate one after another because of this spiritual beam of light. Not even a few humans have even begun to evolve. So what about the superhuman like him? Just getting close, I feel that the concentration of aura in the air is rising straight. Smashing his mouth, Lou Zemo was also a little shocked. With such a strong spiritual energy, it is no wonder that a beast tide is born. I just don't know what's going on in the deepest. Thinking of this, Lou Zemo also accelerated the pace of action. And soon after, the deepest part of the nature reserve. Stab, accompanied by the sound of torn flesh and blood. An ice blue longsword that seemed to have turned into ice was also submerged in the body of a very huge mutant tiger. This is a mutant tiger entering the 6th rank. 3 or 4 meters in size. The hair is thick, yellow and white, and the face is hideous. The mutated claws are extremely huge. As if a slap could flatten a car. Only, unfortunately, it met Lou Zemo. Not waiting for what it does. One teleportation, a huge sword of extreme cold was condensed in his hand. Then, the entire long sword was submerged into the body of the mutant tiger. No blood flowed out. Some of them are just cold air, which spreads continuously until the blood coagulates. Ding, you have beheaded a mutant tiger, energy point plus 70. The cold reminder sounded in his ears, but Luzimo shook his head helplessly. Too weak. Really too weak. Even the mutant beasts entering the 7th level are like children in front of him. In terms of speed, Luzimo's teleportation almost surpassed their neural response speed. By the time these mutations reacted, Luzimo had already made his move. In terms of attacking, Luzimo has Kang, He, and the recently awakened elemental talent, Ice. Therefore, the current Luzimo is really incomprehensible. What's more, his cultivation is far higher than these mutant beasts. Rolling, naturally, is a matter of course. Moreover, he has always been unruly with his hands. If he can make a sneak attack, he will not challenge him above board. Just like this mutant tiger. It was still breaking through in the pillar of spiritual power. It was killed by the sudden arrival of Luzimo's sword. Without drawing the sword of extreme cold, Luzimo just let go. Slowly turn around. And in the next moment, boom, in the midst of the sudden roar, it was the sword of extreme cold that slammed out an extremely terrifying chill. The cold air swept across several meters. In an instant, the mutant tiger was transformed into an ice sculpture. And this is what Luzimo has just researched. The cold air is locked in the ice creations such as the extreme cold sword and the extreme cold spear, and then submerged into the body of the mutant beast. Even without direct beheading, the second burst of cold air was enough to devour these mutant beasts and turn them into ice sculptures. It's just that now, without paying too much attention to this tiger-shaped ice sculpture, Luzimo raised his eyes again and looked deeper. Now he has come to the vicinity of the aura light beam. A rich spiritual energy filled the air. Even taking a breath, it seems to be practicing for a long time. No wonder, these mutant beasts mutated one after another. However, at this time, his eyes were slightly condensed and fell in the deepest part of the aura light column. Luzimo also discovered a very terrifying source of spiritual energy. Enter the 9th level. Suddenly, Luzimo's 6 eyes also bloomed silently. Until, a silhouette appeared in front of him. Looks like a rhino. It's huge. Now, it is curled up in the deepest part of the aura light column, constantly absorbing the aura. In just a short time in the middle of the night, it has already set foot on the 9th level of the entry level. It is even rushing towards transcendence. At this time, if you look closely, you will definitely be able to find that under this huge mutant rhino, there is a piece of jade that is several meters in size. And this is the biggest reason for the mutant rhino to advance so quickly. Treasure, and not an ordinary treasure. His eyes spanned hundreds of meters, his icy blue eyes with white mist, staring at this huge piece of jade. Luzimo couldn't help but be moved. He said, "How can a mere mutant beast advance so quickly?" It turned out to be a heavy treasure. If the guess is correct, this piece of jade should spew out from the deepest part of the ground. After being washed repeatedly by aura, it turned into the purest spiritual stone. With a heart-to-head smile, Luzimo looked at this mutant jade and couldn't help but feel a little bit hot. Without hesitation, no need to hesitate. As soon as he lifted his footsteps, Luzimo was already heading straight for the mutant rhino. Tread, step, accelerating again and again, the earth shook. Roar. During the sudden roar, in the aura of light, a mutated giant wolf discovered the existence of Luzimo and attacked him fiercely. HMPH. With a cold snort, Luzimo lashed out with a whip, kicking the mutant giant wolf, which only entered the 5th level, into a distance of dozens of meters and slammed into one after another. Giant tree. It's just that it's not just the mutant wolf. More mutant beasts also discovered the existence of Luzimo. They rushed in. There are mutated suspicions, and mutated birds. But before they rushed to Luzimo, he raised his right hand. Boom. Just listening to a loud noise, the red straight impact airflow has swept across the world, blasting many mutant beasts into the air. Ding, you have beheaded a mutant beast, energy point plus 20. Ding, you have beheaded a mutant beast, energy point plus 50. During the repeated reminders, Luzimo's smile on the corners of his mouth became more and more intense. What a rare harvest. And shortly after this, Lu Zimo finally came to the deepest part of the aura light column. Looking back, along the way, there are dozens of mutant beasts lying in the pool of blood. And this is Lu Zimo's masterpiece. The unimaginable combat power made him go all the way. It's like slaughter. But at this moment, he slowly raised his eyes and looked not far away, only lying on the jade, with a full 3 or 4 meters in size. Here, a mutated rhino, 3 or 4 meters in size, was lying in a piece of very pure jade. Call. Between the breath and the breath, the 5-color aura actually rose continuously from the jade stone, and rushed towards the body of this black mutant rhinoceros. This piece of jade is something I value. With a grin, Lu Zimo also flashed a chill in the depths of his eyes. It is a pity to let the mutant beast go to waste with such a treasure. So well, as soon as he lifted his footsteps, Lu Zimo actually crossed a distance of dozens of meters and came to the mutated rhinoceros. Not waiting for the mutant rhino to react. Boom! A sudden punch fell from the sky, hitting the mutant rhino's head ruthlessly. Roar! In the very mournful roar, the mutant rhino's head sank. The naked eye can see, a head-sized pothole has emerged. However, to Lu Zimo's surprise, even so, the mutant rhino did not fall. Instead, the breath. What was even more shocking was that his eyes were bloodshot, and countless bloodshots appeared. As if insane. As expected of a mutant rhinoceros of the 9th level, it is indeed rough-skinned and thick-skinned. With a sigh, Lu Zimo didn't care either. Instead, he raised his right hand sharply. Arctic stab. I just heard a loud shout, and there was actually a large night spear several meters long, falling from the sky. This is a long spear transformed by extreme cold. It was formed by Lu Zimo's ice attribute spiritual power. And now, the spear fell violently from the sky. Stab. I just heard a crisp sound, and the whole spear was stabbed on the back of the mutant rhino ruthlessly. Roar, roar, roar. Between the roars one after another, the mutant rhino seemed to be struggling. But at the next moment, second paragraph, the cold is bursting, hair. In a soft whisper, a chill that was enough to freeze everything violently erupted from the back of the mutant rhinoceros. Crack, click. Hearing only one sound after another, the entire mutant rhino is constantly condensing. However, this is not scary. What's really terrifying is, the cold air flows down the mutated rhino's wound and into the blood. Until the blood around it is clotted. And this is also the reason why Lu Zimo needs to rely on piercing, tearing its defense. Night is deep. Entrance of Hangzhou Zoo, colorful. There are still many mutant beasts, trying to break out of the blockade. But what awaits them is human machine gun fire. And one by one fully armed superhumans. Just this time, he didn't come back. Somewhat stunned, Yan Quan also looked at the Food King who was resting on the roof of the car not far away. No, that guy rushed into the beast tide and never came out. Forehead. During the silence of the formation, Yan Quan's face changed again and again. It shouldn't happen. However, after a moment, after thinking about it, Yan Quan also let go of his worries. The chances of something going wrong with Gojo, nearly zero. That guy, but entering the 9th level. The strength is strong, appalling. It is rude to say that for him, the solution of the entire beast tide is only a matter of time. How could something happen to such a terrifying existence? Slowly raising his eyes, looking into the distance, the light beam of spiritual power is still gushing up, and Yan Quan also has some guesses. This guy should have arrived at the spiritual power beam. With a sigh, Yan Quan is also a little regretful. Although he is strong, but it can't come and go freely in the beast tide. If it is true, let him personally rush into the beast tide, there is a 70–80% possibility of being planted there. So, excuse me, properly disturbed. And now, he can only look forward to the safe return of Gojo. At this time, no one knew that Gojo, also known as Lu Zimo, was sitting cross-legged in a piece of jade. This piece of jade is colorful and colorful. Sitting cross-legged on it, it seems that there is an infinite spiritual energy spewing out. Boom! In the inexplicable roar, Lu Zimo's entire body was shaken. His aura was constantly rising. The spiritual power of the whole body is constantly growing. The spiritual energy contained in this piece of jade is not ordinary, even if I can directly absorb it. Taking a deep breath, Lu Zimo also knew that he had a chance. No less than the chance of Yulian a few days ago. If this absorption continues, within 3 days, he is afraid that he can hit the extraordinary first order. Don't hesitate, Lu Zimo has started the practice right away. However, at this time, Lu Zimo's eyes couldn't help but freeze as if he thought of something. He had forgotten one thing. That is, he has Kang. He can completely plunder the spiritual energy in the jade. Yes, loot, several times, or even dozens of times of absorption, called plundering. As long as his body can bear it, he can plunder as much as he wants. And his body, to be honest, different from other extraordinary people. His body, after repeated systematic strengthening, is comparable to a mutant beast. Moreover, it is worth mentioning that his body is strengthened in all directions. From outside to inside, limbs and 8 bones, even meridians. Therefore, his ability to bear should be very terrifying. With this thought in mind, Lu Zimo no longer hesitated. Boom! In the midst of the sudden roar, it was Lu Zimo who activated Kang, and began to plunder the spiritual energy in the jade stone. Boom, boom, boom. In the continuous roar, a whirlwind was blowing for several meters. Visible to the naked eye, a multicolored storm, all slowly emerges. Slow time, slowly passing by. In the blink of an eye, several hours have passed. The beast tide in Hangzhou Zoo finally subsided. This is just a small beast tide. Not even a small beast tide. Many mutant beasts that have long been awakened have been dealt with in advance. Today, even if the beasts left behind have awakened their talents, they have not really adapted to the power. Although it is powerful, it is not comparable to the mutant beasts that have been fighting in the wild all year round. And, more importantly, Daxia Kingdom has long been prepared. Suppressed a lot in advance. Therefore, a real beast tide has not yet been brewed. It's just. For the first time encountering this kind of beast tide, soldiers and even many extraordinary people are inevitably in a hurry. Still, it's fine. After a period of slaughter, the beast tide finally subsided. Occasionally there are 2 or 3 mutant beasts, also shrinking in the corner, not dare to emerge. Come on, let's take a look inside. In the softly narrated inn, Yang Quan walked towards the depths of Hangchang Zoo with the king of food, the queen card girl, and the water snake. And shortly after, what surprised them was, they walked all the way, there were countless corpses. One after another, a mutant beast fell into a pool of blood. No few mutant beasts are all condensed around their bodies and turned into ice sculptures. There are even more mutant beasts, the bones are all broken, just like a pool of soft meat. This, oh my god, who did this? An unknown mutant beast. No, it's human. Speaking softly, Yan Quan also stared at the deepest part of Hangchang Zoo. He vaguely guessed who it was. What about Gojo? Somewhat stunned, Yan Quan was also puzzled. If it was what Gojo said, how could there be ice attribute power? He is not an extraordinary ice attribute talent. But, just go and see. Tread, step by step, everyone rushed towards the deepest part of the zoo. At this time, the spiritual light beam in the deepest part of the zoo is slowly dissipating. Only countless auras merged into the air, which greatly increased the concentration of auras in the air. To put it bluntly, this is already a holy place for practice. 1 day of practice here is enough to compare to 3 days outside. However, at this moment, as if he had discovered something, Yang Quan stopped abruptly. That is, in the somewhat stunned voice, in the sound, Yang Quan also saw. In the distance, on top of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood, there is actually a figure sitting quietly on top of a piece of jade. He has white hair, eyebrows are also clean white. Eyes closed tightly, an indescribable oppression also came. Feeling from a distance, it seems like suffocation. Gojo, it's really him. All the way through his masterpiece. Isn't his talent absolute suction? How can he control the ice? Maybe it's the awakening of the second talent. In the continuous discussion, many extraordinary people are guessing. This is an extremely rare superhuman being able to awaken. If you awaken, you will become a dual talent. Among them, the most famous is the queen. At the same time, it has the talent of great strength, and the talent of precision. The combination of the two greatly improved the queen's combat power. And now, Gojo, who was the first extraordinary person in Hangzhou, has awakened his second talent. Looking at each other in dismay, many extraordinary people are also stunned. However, at this time, the more powerful Transcendent noticed something extremely terrifying. That is, the Gojo in front of him seems to be a little different. It should be said that there are some differences from the past. Unspeakable pressure pervades the night sky. There was an indescribable suffocation. Gojo, what's wrong? Somewhat stunned, the Food King also lifted his footsteps and walked towards Gojo, which was dozens of meters away. Don't wait for the King of Food to get close. An arm was already in front of him. Don't be near. In a very solemn voice sound in, Yanquan's face color is also extremely complicated. As a powerhouse second only to Lu Zimo, he has already sensed something. Why? His face changed slightly, and the Food King was also puzzled. And at this moment, randomly picked up a branch on the ground, and the flame fist also threw it towards Lu Zimo's position. Ha! Ha! In the continuous smashing of the sky, among the horrified gazes of countless extraordinary people, there were actually ice thorns several meters long, rushing up from the ground. Stab! With a sudden crisp sound, this section of branch turned into powder in an instant. Forehead. Silent. All supernatural beings are silent. What are you kidding? When did this ice thorn appear? And, how could it be so fast? When the heart had tightened, many extraordinary people couldn't help but take a few steps back. In the faint-hearted, they all felt cold sweat overflowing from their backs. It was daring. That was startling. More than that, glad. He is. In a daze, the Food King also seemed to have guessed something, and looked at the figure sitting cross-legged in the distance in disbelief. Breakthrough. He broke through. Ardaxia Kingdom, the first strong person to set foot in the supernatural realm. Word by word, Yanquan also revealed an extremely terrifying fact. That's Lu Zimo's breakthrough. He has already set foot on the extraordinary level. The elements between heaven and earth resonate with him. As if it were his breath. Slowly close your eyes. Flame fists are all sensations. Around Lu Zimo, unimaginable ice elements gather. These ice elements, ordinary people can't feel them. But once, get close to Lu Zimo, these ice elements will be substantiated, in an instant, into a terrifying offensive that drowns everything. And this should be the realm of the unity of heaven and man as speculated by the Transcendent Research Institute. It is also the legendary resonance of heaven and earth. It's just that, unlike ordinary extraordinary people, elemental extraordinary people are uniquely endowed in the resonance of heaven and earth. Even, some experts are saying that the extraordinary first order is the beginning of the element talent. That is to say, only by stepping into the extraordinary first order, can element talents show their true power. And now Lu Zimo is like that. After stepping into the extraordinary first order, the surrounding ice elements resonate with him. Its destructive power may increase several times or even dozens of times. And other talented superhumans, even if they set foot on the first rank, are also very scary. But far less than the elemental talent, the horror of destructive power growth. Now comes the question. This monster, just set foot on the extraordinary level. Moreover, the power he has been hiding all along is his talent. Is it controlled by the ice? If so, then, the corners of his eyes twitched uncontrollably, and Yanquan actually had the feeling of a nemesis, a sense of power. Absolutely attracting, making it difficult for his flame to condense, is too much. Now, Lu Zimo, the jerk, has the talent of ice control. Moreover, it seems that his talent level is not low. 80% of them are A level or even S level like him. Really restrain me to the death. Hardhead smiles wryly. Flame fist all feels the surrounding fire element. The deepest part of Hangchang Zoo is getting quieter. In the faint an indescribable pressure permeates the sky and the earth. Gollum, swallowing his saliva, the transcendent water flowed. Forbearance, no, holding back a few steps. There was an expression of disbelief on his face. This guy, his eyes widened, but his eyes were tolerant, no, focused on the figure sitting cross-legged not far away. That's where the stress comes from. And this is the legendary superhuman, Gojo. He is the first person in the qualifying competition of Hangzhou Spiritual Power Bureau. It is even more powerful than Tianzhou Yanquan in the ranking. However, no one could have imagined that he would set foot on the extraordinary tonight. Looking at each other in dismay, quite a few transcendents looked strangely at the headed flame fist. Now, this one's mood is the most complicated. Just without waiting for them to think more, a sudden sound reverberated in the night sky. You are here. Slowly opened his eyes, ice blue pupils with white mist, blooming in the night sky. For a moment, the night sky condenses. All the superhumans only felt that their hearts were tight, and they all showed a look of astonishment. Something seemed to be grabbing their necks. That's stress. Pressure from the extraordinary. Life, the transformation of life level, the skyrocketing power. There are also eyes that do not belong to the world, the eyes of the sky, all of which endow Lu Zimo with unimaginable power. At this time, at this moment, Lu Zimo has no idea how strong he is. But, one thing is for sure. That's who he is now, and the power may be beyond imagination. Boom. The sudden roar was Lu Zimo slowly getting up, and the invisible pressure filled the sky and the earth. And the moment he got up, crack, the jade he sat cross-legged was also cracked like a cobweb until it shattered. When did you come? While asking softly, Lu Zimo's icy blue eyes with white mist also looked at Yanquan. Come on, it's been an hour. Sound echo in response, Yanquan was and couldn't help but be stunned. For some unknown reason, at this moment, he was a little reluctant to look directly into this person's eyes. Before it was clear, they could still enjoy the wine. But now, as far as the eye can see, oppression strikes. It was as if the mouse had encountered the natural enemy snake, and his instinctive timidity and even fear caused his eyes to become somewhat distracted. However, at this time, what Yanquan didn't know was that ordinary transcendence set foot on the transcendent First Order, although it was terrifying. But far less than Lu Zimo. He mastered the infinite spell. He was so close at hand, it seemed like the end of the world. And after he stepped into the transcendent, this feeling was even worse. At this time, Lu Zimo, who did not restrain his coercion, gave people the feeling that he was in the end of the world. Distant and unfamiliar, creepy. However, at this moment, have you broken through? In a daze, the Food King also asked the question that everyone wanted to know the most. It should be a breakthrough. In response, Lu Zimo, who got up, also raised his eyes and looked tens of meters away. Slowly raise your hand. An inexplicable gathering of forces. And in the next moment, boom, accompanied by an extremely terrifying loud noise, the earth shook, and countless rubble cracked. What happened? Oh my God, wait, is this a joke? Outrageous, outrageous. In the unimaginable shock, the eyes of dozens of extraordinary people couldn't help but focus on the distance. B. A giant pit with a depth of several meters and a diameter of more than 10 meters, which is astonishingly large, appeared unexpectedly. You know, it's an easy blow from Lu Zimo. No sign. CDDD suddenly raised his hand. Then, there was a loud bang, and there was actually such a huge pothole emerging. What does that mean? Nobody knows. Even Yanquan, the king of food, and the others widened their eyes, their faces filled with disbelief. This is the realm of transcendence. This. Oh my God. In the repeated exclamations, many extraordinary people are also terrifying. They always thought that stepping into the transcendent realm was just a surge in strength. But I didn't expect it to skyrocket to such a level. Is it really human power? More than one person doubts this. It's just, what they don't know is, other supernatural beings have set foot in the supernatural realm, but they are not as terrible as Lu Zimo. With 6 eyes, Lu Zimo can see and manipulate quanta in space. His destructive power is even more terrifying than an ordinary element controller. Not to mention, he also has the elemental talent of ice control. Slowly closing his eyes, the 2 elements appeared very clearly near him. One is ice blue, that's the ice element. They cheered and jumped, as if waiting for Lu Zimo's call. However, the most shocking thing is a hazy gray element. They seem to be everywhere, in constant arrangement and combination in the air. And this is a space element. After stepping into the extraordinary, Lu Zimo really sees these elements, and echoes these elements. As long as he wanted to, he could manipulate these elements, and then exploded with destructive power far beyond the imagination of ordinary people. With a heart-to-head smile, Lu Zimo also stepped up. I just broke through, and I have to go back to settle. Let's go first. While speaking softly, Lu Zimo also walked in front of a young girl not far away. She has long black hair. The skin is as clean as ice and snow, white, with a transparent texture. The whole person seems to have stepped out of the painting. This is Lin Xiaoyi, the slicker. Want to be together? Nodding slightly, Lin Xiaoyi also raised his hand and grabbed Lu Zimo's outstretched right hand. And in the next moment, a sudden storm blew up, and under the horrified gazes of countless extraordinary people, Lu Zimo took Lin Xiaoyi and ran wildly. It's just that his speed is too fast. So that the storm is emerging. Once again, he returned to the Spiritual Power Bureau, half an hour later. Make me something to eat, or go to the cafeteria to arrange some. After instructing Lin Xiaoyi, Lu Zimo also walked into a training room alone. Okay, Mo. Sound echo yes, Lin Xiaoyi is also sensible. The first time, rushed to the cafeteria. At the same time, she also contacted Yangquan and asked Yangquan to bring back the terrifying mutant rhinoceros just now. Lu Zimo just broke through. Energy is urgently needed. Ordinary mutant beasts really couldn't satisfy him. At this time, sitting cross-legged in the training room, Lu Zimo was also sorting out the harvest. Host. Lu Zimo. Equal order. Extraordinary first order. Energy points. 12,000. Fusion template. Gojo Satoru. Fusion progress 25%. Awakening talent. Ice control. Can control ice and dominate the extremely cold world. Ability. Unlimited spell, a terrifying spell that perpetuates all over the body, capable of resisting all attacks. Kang. Shorten the distance between objects, extend usage, teleport. Watching quietly, Lu Zimo couldn't help but be silent. This is the first step of transcendence. It's really sad. To be honest, Lu Zimo himself never imagined that he would step into the extraordinary level like this. But well, for him, it was sooner or later to set foot on the extraordinary level. Setting foot early now can only be said to be an unexpected joy. And now, taking a deep look at the properties panel, Lu Zimo also noticed a few terrifying changes. First of all, Gojo Satoru's fusion progress has been greatly improved. It was a leap, and it increased to 25%. It's scary. It also means that Lu Zimo has unlocked a very scary skill, the virtual Pyrene. This is a little-known move within the Gojo family. Superimpose the homeopathic spell, blue, and the reversal spell, high, to create an imaginary mass that can be ejected. It is directly manifested as an energy wave that can cut space, and the damage caused is unified as a circular gap with smooth edges. Now it's in the hands of Lu Zimo. How about the power? To be honest, Lu Zimo doesn't even dare to use it. Just because it's too scary. With my current strength, I can fully activate the virtual Pyrene, which is enough to tear apart the earth and even the sky. While whispering softly, Lu Zimo was also a little stunned. Speaking of his minimum power, it was twice that of Kang. Then the minimum power of the imaginary Pyrene should be 10 times that of he. It is 20 times more than Kang. What is this concept? He can easily burst out a red impact airflow 7 or 8 meters long. And the virtual Pyrene can lift 70 to 80 meters long. This is still the minimum power. If it explodes completely, then it is very likely to cross the earth for 100 meters or even hundreds of meters. Just thinking about it is staggering. However, as the price, that is, the consumption of spiritual power is very terrifying. Even if Lu Zimo is sitting on 6 eyes, it can minimize the consumption of spiritual power. It is also difficult to support multiple bursts, virtual Pyrene, in a short period of time. This is the whole card. An absolute trump card. When it is not critical, it must not be used indiscriminately. But once it is used, it is absolutely devastating. But, now, tidying up himself, Lu Zimo couldn't help but sigh. The transcendent realm is indeed a qualitative change. Not to mention, his newly unlocked ability, the imaginary form, Pyrene, alone has as much as 30,000 spiritual powers in his body. Moreover, the purity of each strand of his spiritual power was several times better than the original. If this is superimposed, then the spiritual power in his body should be tens of times that of entering the 9th level. This is the extraordinary first order, the most terrifying place. Don't talk about talent, don't talk about fighting consciousness. Only spiritual power is crushing. If this is combined with some skills, and even others, its combat power is astounding. It's no wonder that some people say that, under the transcendent are all ants. Quote, transcendence is the real beginning, the beginning. 10 Entering the 9th level may not be my one-shot enemy. While speaking softly, Lu Zimo was also estimating his own combat power. Of course, he is an alternative. With the blessing of the Gojo Satoru template, his combat power is unimaginable. Not to mention entering the 9th rank, even if they are both extraordinary first rank, there are not many extraordinary people who can fight against Lu Zimo. It's still a war. As for beating Lu Zimo, it is theoretically impossible. He who can dominate the quantum of space can unilaterally declare invincibility. Of course, the current Lu Zimo also has limits. Mental, physical, and spiritual. These three aspects have their limits. After a long battle, Lu Zimo finally had one aspect that he couldn't stand. Therefore, Lu Zimo may be dragged to death by the Wheel War. However, the problem is that it seems not difficult for Lu Zimo to withdraw from the battle. Now, if he activates Kang to teleport over a long distance, it is estimated that he can teleport hundreds of meters away. After a few teleports, who else can catch up? Therefore, the initiative has always been in the hands of Lu Zimo. As I thought, after stepping into the extraordinary first order, my strength is really revealed. With a sigh, Lu Zimo couldn't help but stretch. Now he is finally relieved. Powerful, really powerful. Look down on everything. Not only humans, but even mutant beasts are difficult to threaten Lu Zimo at the same level. As for, beyond the existence of Lu Zimo, like some kind of extraordinary second order, extraordinary third order powerhouse, suddenly walked out. Is this possible? This is the world of spiritual revival. Lu Zimo has the template of Gojo Satoru, and his talent is extraordinary. In addition, Lu Zimo practiced very hard. All these made him come from behind, catching up with the King of Food, Queen Card Girl and Yanquan and others. Now, it is the first step to step into the extraordinary field. Now, it is estimated that there is an unfathomable sea. There is a certain possibility that there will be an existence beyond Lu Zimo. However, his kind of overtaking, at best, is a minor level or two ahead of Lu Zimo. For example, the post-transcendent first order. As for the extraordinary second order, according to the current evolutionary trend, it is impossible. Totally impossible. So, the current Lu Zimo, it can be said without hesitation, he is already standing on the ceiling of this era. Of course, this certainly does not consider intercontinental missiles, nuclear weapons and these ghosts. In terms of self-combat power alone, he should be standing on the ceiling. At this time, what Lu Zimo didn't know was that his existence had already caused a huge sensation in the Spiritual Power Bureau. Have you heard? Gojo seems to have stepped into the supernatural realm. What? Are you serious? I saw it with my own eyes, is it still fake? He broke through not long ago. My God, it's like a dream, you didn't see it. He slapped his hand and set off a shocking explosion dozens of meters away. It was simply inhuman. Is that exaggerated? In the midst of repeated exclamations, the entire Spiritual Power Bureau was also shaken. Even a few high-level officials of the Spiritual Power Bureau couldn't help but look at each other in dismay. Did he really break through? In some stunned voices, Luo Ju, director of the Hangzhou Spiritual Power Bureau, was also stunned. Yes, director, many people saw it with their own eyes. He really stepped into the supernatural realm. Having said that, a staff member also played a video directly. This video was recorded after Lu Zimo broke through. Video, medium. A figure, slowly stood up from a piece of jade. Immediately after, boom, in the sudden roar, a pair of ice blue eyes with white mist bloomed. Obviously it's just a video. But Bureau Luo saw that he still endured. No, stop, staggering and took a few steps back. Fear, scary. The unimaginable aura seems to have materialized. That gaze is like a predator standing at the top of the food chain. Just a glance is horrifying. Are you all right, Luo Ju? Among the voices of some concern, a staff member also helped the road for the first time. It's okay, no problem. After waving his hands again and again, Luoju also raised his eyes and continued to look at the video. Boom. There was another loud noise, but in the middle of the picture, that figure raised his hand and shattered the earth in the distance, leaving behind a huge pit with a diameter of more than 10 meters. Silence. Dead silence. Robo was stunned. Has this guy really stepped into the transcendent realm? Looking at it in a daze, Luoju couldn't help but be astonished. Then, it is unimaginable excitement. Ha ha ha. In the midst of a sudden long laugh, Luoju also laughed loudly. Good, good, good. The 3 words, good, in a row expressed Luoju's excitement and joy. Come on, let's go see Gojo now. With a wave of his hand, Luoju also aroused the high-level officials without hesitation, and rushed towards the place where Lu Zimo was. And for these, Lu Zimo doesn't know yet. Right now, he is precipitating and sorting out his own strength at the same time. Not bad. Everything was as he thought. And in the future, it is good to steadily improve. The fusion progress has reached 25%. Unlock the virtual form. The virtual form, this. In that case, if the fusion progress reaches 50%, it is very likely that I will unlock the last skill, the limitless space in the field. In a soft whisper, Lu Zimo was also expecting. The realm is boundless. This is a very terrifying skill. Its power is beyond imagination. It is rude to say that if Lu Zimo can master the boundless space in the field, then his name of invincible at the same level will really be established. This is a skill far beyond the imagination of the world. Pull the opponent into the inner side of no lower limit, forcing the opponent's brain to perform countless repetitions of perception and conduction in order to live, to produce a large amount of invalid information so that the brain loses its function and can only stand and wait to die. This is the infinite void. It is an almost perfect, spiritual attack. According to Lu Zimo's guess, he wants to open up the realm infinite space, and it should not only be 50% fusion with Gojo Satoru. It is even more necessary to set foot on the extraordinary second order. Just because, the extraordinary second order, will involve the so-called domain. 0. Yes, realm. According to the tests conducted by the Lingley Research Institute, after the extraordinary creature reaches the second order extraordinary, it will resonate with the heaven and the earth to an extreme. And then there is hope to extend a field of its own. For example, if Yanquan steps into the second order supernatural, it is very likely to create a realm of fire. In the realm of, it is filled with a large number of fire elements, while depriving other elements. In this way, the power of Yanquan will be increased to the extreme. This is called the field. However, Lu Zimo's infinite emptiness is different. This is the spiritual realm. Even more mysterious. Even more terrible. Therefore, if Lu Zimo really opens up the field, then his power will be a terrifying level. Moreover, it is not only the boundless space in the field. He can also extend further, and then open the extremely cold field. After all, he has the talent to control this top-level element. For the master of the elements, opening the realm is a powerful start, the geometric multiplier of destructive power increases. 5. While whispering softly, Lu Zimo also had some guesses. He has the inheritance of another world's power system. Therefore, knowledge should be broader. Therefore, for many things, they have their own unique guesses. As for the Lingley Research Institute, although they study the extraordinary system day and night, Lu Zimo does not necessarily know much. With a smile on his head, Lu Zimo also slowly got up. He was hungry alone. Now, ready to eat. Crack. Slowly pushed open the door of the training room. What impresses his eyes is that Lin Xiaoyi's face is full of excitement. Mo, all the food you asked for is ready, and I also informed Yanquan to bring back the mutant rhino to give you nutrition. Well done. In the soft praise, Lu Zimo also touched Lin Xiaoyi's hair. This girl is quite reliable. However, at this time, slowly raising his eyes, Lu Zimo also found that not far away, there were dozens of figures standing quietly. They seemed to be waiting. Looking forward again. There was a fiery glow in the depths of his eyes. Are they all here? A little stunned, Lu Zimo also walked directly to the front figure. I've seen Luoju. With a slight nod, Luoju, director of Hangzhou Spiritual Power Bureau, looked at the young man in front of him, and was also excited. Did you really break through? Nodding, Lu Zimo simply released some breath. Boom. The sudden roar was like a thunder blasting in his mind, and Luo Ju's body was shocked. This is a breath that is several times scarier than the video just now. At close range, Luo Ju couldn't help suffocating. But when he came back to his senses, Luo Ju was shocked to find that a little sweat was overflowing from his forehead. Luo Ju, are you okay? In the midst of the repeated shouts, several high-level officials around looked at him nervously. It's okay, it's okay. After waving his hands again and again, Luo Ju also looked at the young man not far away with a horrified expression. This is a young man who seems to have walked out of a cartoon. Long white hair, glowing crystal. That is the brilliance of spiritual power. Double eyes, bright and mysterious. Even more amazing. Is this really a human eye? In a daze, Luo Ju finally came back to his senses and said bluntly. Your breakthrough is beyond my imagination. I was surprised too. With a chuckle, Lu Zimo also said. There is a jade stone that contains extremely pure spiritual energy in the light pillar of spiritual power. That jade stone is a rare treasure. I just found it, and this breakthrough. Forehead. Listening quietly, Luo Ju's face changed suddenly. Immediately, as if thinking of something, he raised his voice violently, and shouted at the supernatural being not far away, as well as many staff members. What are you still doing? Go, hurry up and find it for me, this is a treasure. Quick, quick. Among the very excited voices and sounds, Luo Ju of the Spiritual Power Bureau also lost his temper. There are still such treasures. I have to say that Luo Ju was a little stunned. Not only him, but the rest of the extraordinary are also stunned. Without hesitation, Yang Quan was actually engulfed in fierce flames. I'll be back when I go. During the loud shouting, Yan Quan, who had just returned, rushed towards the outside. He took the initiative to turn on, fast like fire, which greatly improved his athletic ability. As for the Food King, it was rare to grab the potato chips and frantically put a few mouthfuls into his mouth. Then, run straight to the outside. Quietly watching the departure of many extraordinary people, Lu Zimo's mouth was also slightly tilted. He knew what that jade was. Lingxi is also divided into 3, 6 and 9. The better the quality of the spiritual stone, the more pure the spiritual energy. On weekdays, the spiritual stones they use for cultivation are only low-grade spiritual stones. A little better, that is, a mid-grade spirit stone. However, the jade just now is a real, top-quality spirit stone. The amount of spiritual energy contained in it is beyond imagination. Even more pure. To put it bluntly, a top-quality spirit stone is also very useful for extraordinary creatures. And the jade just now, it should be a spout of spiritual energy, brought out from the deepest part of the earth. So, go find it. Have fun looking for it. The more such spiritual stones, the better. And Lu Zimo also believes that with his strength, he will definitely be able to get a share. The more spiritual stones like the Spirit Power Bureau were found, the more points he would get. Therefore, he also deliberately mentioned this spirit stone. Just to let more extraordinary people find. Although this is a top-quality spiritual stone, it is of little use to low-level practitioners. The spiritual energy is too pure and difficult for them to absorb. In the end, the cheapest thing is my existence. Heart-to-head murmuring, Lu Zimo also has his own little abacus. Strength determines position. The moment he stepped into the supernatural realm, Lu Zimo already knew that he was different from ordinary supernatural beings. Like now, in the cafeteria, eating the meat of mutant beasts. The eyes that Lu Zimo felt were completely different from before. Now he seems to be the focus. The eyes of countless people converge on the body. Although, there were many such eyes in the past. But more because of his outstanding looks. But now, it's different. This gaze is more of awe and awe. With a smile in his heart, Lu Zimo also felt 70% full. And at this moment, a very formal woman suddenly walked up to Lu Zimo. Gojo, your lord, the director is waiting for you in the office. While speaking softly, the woman's gaze towards Lu Zimo was also extremely complicated. There is fear, and awe. It was awe from the heart. Even in the word, adult, could not help but be added. Your Excellency, it is a respectful title in Daxia. Only with respect from the heart can such a formal title be called. Nodding slightly, Lu Zimo also got up. Not far away, Lin Xiaoyi took the initiative to step forward and handed over a trench coat. Have a heart. After taking over the trench coat, Lu Zimo was also satisfied. 187. This girl is really sensible. Putting on the trench coat, Lu Zimo also stepped up and walked towards the office of the Spiritual Power Bureau. Although, he joined the Spiritual Power Bureau for a long time. But I haven't been to the office a few times. Moreover, this time, he was summoned alone. Even Lu Zimo is a little curious. He was wondering, why did the director of the Spiritual Power Bureau summon him alone? And shortly after entering the office, Lu Zimo was also a little confused. Just because I saw his Luoju, I went straight to the point. Southeast of Hangchang, in a very remote place, there is an explosion of spiritual energy beams. There are few people and many mutant beasts. Our Spiritual Force Bureau is limited in manpower, and it is too late to handle even the urban area, let alone that etc. place. So, if you have a good rest, go and see if you can handle it. By the way, check your combat power. If it is possible, I will give you a special merit this time. Listening quietly, Lu Zimo looked at the map not far away with a stunned expression. On the map, there is a red highlighted place. It is estimated that it is more than 100 kilometers away from Hangchang. Very remote indeed. Sure, no problem. Nodding, Lu Zimo did not refuse. It happened that he also had to test his own combat power. However, looking at the map in his hand, Lu Zimo couldn't help frowning. Why a map? The sudden burst of psychic tides seems to have affected the magnetic field so much that most of the electronic equipment can't function. Forehead. After a while of silence, Lu Zimo also took out his mobile phone. Man, no signal until now. It is also a special mobile phone made by the Spiritual Power Bureau, which seems to be somewhat useful. However, forget it. These can be ignored. Urgently. It is to deal with the mutant beasts over there. With his current strength, even a small beast tide should be able to suppress it. Small beast tide. Scale of tens of thousands, called small beast tide. The scale reaches more than 100,000, which is called medium-sized beast tide. As for the large-scale beast tide, the scale can be said to reach million. And is this an exaggeration? Certainly not an exaggeration. A mutant rat tide can easily reach tens of thousands, turning into a small beast tide, sweeping everything. As for the mutant locusts, the same is true. Before, the small beast tide was still somewhat difficult to brew. That's because the aura in the air is limited. Large-scale variation is almost non-existent. But now it's different. One after another, aura of light beams completely announce the coming of a new era. Countless beasts have mutated one after another. So, the real beast tide has also ushered in. Like now. In a corner not far from Hangchang. Squeaky, squeaky, squeak, squeak. In the continuous neighing, countless black mice are constantly pouring out from the mountain. They are everywhere, sweeping everything. Wherever he passed, vegetation, beasts, everything was devoured. And in the midst of devouring, it's visible to the naked eye. One mutant mouse after another is constantly changing in size. Some of them grow in size, and in the blink of an eye, become the size of a basketball. The protruding claws are like blades, giving people a shuddering feeling. Some mice are getting smaller and smaller. But that fleeting moment, just like a black lightning speed, is even more frightening. Just like humans, different talents have been awakened. These mutant mice are also constantly awakening their talents. However, among so many mutant mice, the most interesting one is that one mutant mouse. He is only the size of a basketball. But the whole body is like cast steel, with a cold texture. And now, crack, click, in the constant gnawing, it was actually grabbing piece after piece of extremely pure jade and stuffing it into its mouth. This is the best spirit stone. A jade that helped Lu Zimo break through. Before the spiritual energy is completely absorbed, this kind of spiritual stone is extremely hard, comparable to the hardest alloy that humans currently have. But now, this mutant mouse is actually gnawing on this extremely hard spiritual stone at will. Even more terrifying is that its breath is still growing. In just half an hour, it has reached the peak of the 9th level of entry. Squeak. Amidst the sudden neighing, the mutated rat tide, which was originally extremely chaotic, was a sudden shock. Coincidentally, the eyes of countless mutant mice are all focused on this black mouse, as if waiting for something. Squeak, squeak. Again and again, countless mutant mice were shocked. Immediately afterwards, they seemed to have received some signal and scattered away, spreading farther. But at this time, if you pay attention, you will be able to find that in this mutated rat tide group, not far away, there is an extremely thick aura light beam that slowly dissipates. Obviously, there are so many mutant mice here, largely because of this aura beam of light. And for these, no one knows. Changes in the magnetic field make most electronic instruments useless. In the true sense, it has blinded the eyes of human beings. In the past, the omnipotent Spiritual Power Monitoring Bureau was paralyzed, and even its operation was difficult. Can't you recover yet? We are rushing repairs. It will take a day at the latest to restore some signals. All right. Nodding, the director of the Spiritual Power Monitoring Bureau was also helpless. This is really unexpected, to everyone's surprise. Now, they can only hope that there will be no major changes. At the same time, Lou Zemo also rushed to the location on the map. Boom, boom, boom. Among the repeated roars, it was Lou Zemo riding a motorcycle and galloping away. At this time, it is nearly morning. In the city, the morning mist permeates. However, what is shocking is that there used to be a smooth street. All the way, it is already congested. All kinds of cars are scattered everywhere. Fire all over the place. Slowly raising his eyes, he could see that many windows of high-rise buildings were shattered and black smoke rose. It's like an apocalyptic era. The peace is long gone. Overnight, the city changed dramatically. Countless ordinary people have yet to react. What happened? What exactly happened? My God, why is this happening? Where's the police? Where's the police? In the repeated exclamations, the whole city is full of noise. Occasionally, there are gunshots. Even, there are terrible explosions. This looks like a post-war city. At this moment, the ripples in his heart were suppressed, and Lou Zemo also rode his motorcycle away. For these, there will be a Spiritual Power Bureau, and the country will clean up the mess. Although it is very chaotic, it is generally stable. But outside the city, it was different. If not for the early suppression of mutant beasts, then waiting for the whole Hangchang will be thousands of mutant beasts swept in. At that time, the casualties were not in the hundreds of thousands. So, in the constant acceleration, Lou Zemo turned into a black shadow and swept across the street. Occasionally encountered traffic paralysis. Lou Zemo is also surging spiritual power. As far as the naked eye could see, a hazy spiritual power poured out from Lou Zemo's body, wrapping him in the locomotive. With 6 eyes, Lou Zemo's manipulation of spiritual power has reached an incredible level. And under such control, he and the locomotive are truly integrated into one. And what does this mean? Raising his hand violently, the entire locomotive flew several meters high, flying over several paralyzed cars on the road. What's even more terrifying is that Lou Zemo is riding a motorcycle on the railing, even on the wall, galloping. A true, flying car. Time passed slowly, and in the blink of an eye and a half hours passed. Lou Zemo finally drove out of the city and came to the provincial road. However, like Hangzhou, the traffic on the entire provincial highway is paralyzed. Countless cars were parked on the road side by side. There are countless people who are exclaiming and horrified. Visible to the naked eye, the mutant beasts that came out of nowhere attacked the vehicle. Fine, there are many human beings who have awakened their talents. Give me death. In the sudden violent drink, a huge human figure like a brown bear suddenly grabbed a mutant wild dog, and then smashed it to the ground. Boom. With a loud noise, this first and second level mutant wild dog also shattered its bones. And this is the beast-capable person. Even with the initial awakening, it has extremely terrifying combat power. Just this time. What is that? My God, it's people. In the repeated exclamations, countless people saw a black locomotive passing by on the railing. He was like a black lightning bolt, speeding on the road, holding up countless dust waves. Occasionally encountering places that are really difficult to get through, Lou Zemo also takes the initiative to teleport. Ha! In the sudden break in the air, Luzimo took the locomotive across a distance of dozens of meters. Boom, boom, boom. Repeated roars resounded from one side. Luzimo had been running on the road alone for more than half an hour. Finally, as if he had found something, Luzimo raised his brows. The black blindfold instantly turned into rags, flying in the sky. At this time, a pair of ice blue eyes with white mist also bloomed quietly. That is the eye of the sky. The legendary 6 eyes. 360 degrees without blind spots to observe everything. It is easier to see far away. And at the moment when the eyes of the sky fully bloomed, a far, very strange scene was also imprinted into Luzimo's eyes. Mountains and fields, countless black mice, are spreading in all directions. From a distance, it looks like a black tide. This. For a while, Luzimo was also a little stunned. He fantasized about countless mutant beasts, like thousands of troops, constantly charging. I also thought about large and small mutant beasts, fighting in the jungle. But now, he was shocked. Mutant rat tide. An unimaginable tide of mutant rats, wherever they go. No grass grows. Countless mutant beasts, like turkeys, turned into bones in a few breaths. Not even bones exist. Luzimo saw with his own eyes. A large mutant snake burst out with countless blood mists in the shrill neigh. One after another a mutant mouse kept gnawing at his body. Squeak, squeak, squeaky, squeaky. In the continuous neighing, the bodies of many mutant old mice have undergone strange changes. As far as the naked eye can see, their skin has gradually turned green. It's like being infected with toxins. And their fangs are constantly extending, like fangs. Variation, constant variation. Under the stimulation of countless auras, they are looking for all possibilities of evolution. Moreover, because of the extremely large number, it is difficult for those individual mutant beasts to threaten them, so that they are rampant all the way, crazy plundering everything. While whispering softly, Luzimo couldn't help but be moved. Have to say, the mutant rat tide is worthy of being one of the 3 big beast tides recognized by the Spiritual Power Bureau. Terrible indeed. 3 beast tides. This is after countless data evaluations by the Spiritual Power Bureau, and finally rated the most dangerous beast tide. Single quote. Number 1 is the mutant rat tide. The growth cycle of mice is too short, and the number is extremely terrifying. More group action. If the group mutates, it will immediately turn into a terrifying beast tide. Second, is the wolf tide. Wolves have always acted in groups, and their intelligence is not low. If it mutates, it will be extremely terrifying. As for, in the end, it is naturally the mutant locust tide. These 3 beast tides, in theory, are the beast tides with the highest danger level. If it breaks out, the consequences are extremely terrifying. And now, what appeared in front of Luzimo was the mutant rat tide. Call. Taking a deep breath, Luzimo no longer hesitated. One-on-one acceleration, full throttle. Boom, boom, boom. In the midst of the repeated roars, his whole body turned into an arrow that left the string, rushing straight into the distance. And shortly after this, abandoning the locomotive, Luzimo also slowly lifted his steps and walked out towards the mountain not far away. Hengchang is located in the plain, near the mountains, not high. All over the mountains and plains, you can see it at a glance. At this time, it seems that the existence of Luzimo was discovered. Squeaky, 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 squeaky. Among the continuous neighing, there were actually dozens of mutant black mice rushing towards Luzimo. Ha! In the abruptly breaking through the sky, a mutant black rat with the size of a fist was as fast as lightning. And not far away, there is also a continuous uplift of the soil bag. That's the ground rolling. It was actually a mutant mouse that escaped from the ground. Interesting. During the sigh, Luzimo's whole body was also surging with spiritual energy. Boom. Only a roar was heard, and the cold air gushed out from Luzimo's body, turning into ice fog. Squeaky, squeaky. In the midst of the panic neighing, the speed of many mutant mice was actually greatly slowed down. There were even individual mutant mice whose feet were frozen. At this time, before they could react more, Luzimo's footsteps had already fallen. Tread. As soon as one step fell, countless ice thorns half a meter high pierced out of the ground. Stab, stab. In the continuous puncture, Blood splashed unexpectedly. Ding, you have beheaded a mutant mouse. Energy point plus 20. Ding, you have beheaded a mutant mouse. Energy point plus 30. The sound of the sound followed by a sound was very pleasant, and it also made Luzimo's mouth slightly tilt, setting off a subtle arc. Haven't shot yet. It has already begun. The harvest has begun. However, now Luzimo is more about wanting to practice ice manipulation. His talent, controlling the ice, is very high. The condensed cold air, the temperature is beyond imagination. It can be easily shaped. This also gives Luzimo more ways to play. If his talent, controlling ice, the level is very low, and the condensed cold air is not enough to freeze even mutant beasts. So rest assured, Luzimo will definitely selectively forget this talent. Although, talent can be continuously developed. But the talent is very low at the beginning, and for Luzimo, there is no need for development. Still, it's fine. Luzimo, a talent, is really good. Maybe after my talent is continuously developed, there is the possibility of elementalization. In a soft whisper, Luzimo also thought of a report from the Spiritual Power Bureau. That is an elemental superhuman's research on elements. According to his research, humans and elements exist in what are called adaptations. The higher the adaptability, the closer the element is to it. For example, adaptability has 100. The normal element controller, the adaptability may reach 50. Like Yanquan, there are almost 70. Compared to other fire-type abilities, his flames are even more explosive and even more terrifying. And Luzimo, now the adaptability of the ice element, should also have 70 or 80, or even higher. The ice he condensed was colder and stronger. As the cold air spreads, it feels cold. But this is not the limit. According to the research of the elemental superhuman, if the adaptability of humans and elements reaches 100%, humans then become part of the elements. Even, the so-called assimilation can be completed and directly converted into elements. For example, Flaming Fist turns into flames directly. And Luzimo turned into ice. This is the elementalization of existence theory. It is also one of the current elements capable people, and has been committed to one of the directions of development. If elementalization can really be realized, then Luzimo's life-saving ability must be improved by a few %. With a heart-to-head smile, Luzimo is also looking forward to it. But this time, squeak, 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 squeak. In the more and more terrible neighing, more mutant mice also discovered the existence of Luzimo. Chi-Chi rushed towards him. Hash. With a chuckle, Luzimo also slowly raised his right hand. Boom. I just heard a loud noise, and countless blood mists exploded. In the distance, an extremely terrifying explosion was set off. The wind and waves alone spread hundreds of meters away. At this time, if you raise your eyes, you will be able to find that, far away, a giant pit with a diameter of more than 10 meters has emerged. This is Kang. Very scary. Without warning. The power is even more amazing, people. But the problem is, Kang, or Luzimo's most destructive skill. His technique, the smallest power is twice that of Kang. As for the virtual form, Pyrene, it is even more terrifying to the extreme. So well, today is destined to be a day of slaughter. Time passed slowly, and in the blink of an eye, more than half an hour has passed. Luzimo went all the way. The black uniform is still the same as before, not stained with the slightest blood. It's just, that pair of ice blue eyes with white mist is even colder. It seems to have lost feelings. In a soft sigh, Luzimo's figure also disappeared in an instant. When he appeared again, he actually appeared beside a mutant mouse. Swish. Suddenly, a whip leg attacked, and slapped the mutated mouse ruthlessly. He didn't even have time to react. This mutant mouse had already suffered the whip leg. This whip leg is heavy. Very heavy. As for how much, you can understand just by seeing. The body of the mutant mouse in the distance is constantly shattering, until it turns into a blood mist. A real blast. Chilling. At this time, as if he noticed something, Luzimo's eyes narrowed. 360 degrees, 6 eyes with no dead ends, let Luzimo see something, should not see. Far, is a highway. There are many cars on the highway. But among these cars, there was not a single living person. The bones are thick, the blood is full of. Vaguely, Lu Zimo saw the baby's corpse. Of course, the most terrifying thing is that far away, there is actually a very huge pothole. Dozens of meters long, bottomless. It seems that it should be the location where the spiritual light beam spewed out. Call. Taking a deep breath and restraining his mood, Lu Zimo also raised his right hand. Made a very complicated gesture. Flick your fingers. This is the starting position of the virtual, Pyrene. And now, the target of the virtual, this, is a huge pothole not far away. Vaguely, Lu Zimo could see that countless mutated mice were crawling in that pothole at high speed, constantly shuttling. It seems that this should be the source of this rat wave outbreak. So well, disappear completely. While whispering softly, Lu Zimo could already feel the speed of the spiritual power in his body. At the same time, an unimaginable force gathered in front of Lu Zimo. At this moment, the sky seemed to darken. Countless hazy elemental particles quietly gathered in front of Lu Zimo. This is no ordinary particle. It glowed with inexplicable brilliance. Like purple but not purple, like black but not black. There is a hazy halo flowing. And now, in the gathering of countless such particles, the sky and the earth are eclipsed. As if, these particles became the focus of everything. And this is the hypothetical quality created by superimposing the homeopathic technique, Kang, and the reversal technique, Hai. Very scary, really scary, just because, at the moment when these particles converge, Lu Zimo feels suffocated. The frighteningness of the virtual, Pyrene, may be beyond imagination. While sighing from the bottom of his heart, Lu Zimo didn't notice. From a distance, there were several figures staggering towards him. They are residents of the neighborhood. Because of the sudden mutation of countless beasts, they fled in a panic. Now, they just want to rush to the city. Go to Hangzhou. Only there is a real safe place. However, fortunately, among the 5 people in their group, there are 2 people who have awakened their abilities. A is a boy of 16 or 17. He awakened the muscle strengthening, a good talent. Muscles are like having life, they can continuously expand and greatly improve their strength. And another awakening talent is a girl. It looks like he is also 16 or 17 years old. The long black hair with the shawl. Hand holds a long sword that has not yet been opened. Looks very heroic. This is Ling Yao. A nearby high school is a very famous kendo girl. Practicing swords for many years. It has a certain combat power in itself. Not long ago, under the nourishment of spiritual energy, she awakened even more, an extremely terrifying talent. Beast intuition, an indescribable, inexplicable talent. But after awakening her talent, she has a keen intuition that is almost a sixth sense for crises. Even if the bullet shot at her, she was also able to react immediately. This is a terrible talent. With this talent, coupled with the body nourished by spiritual energy, she is also under the siege of mutant beasts, like a duck in water. It's just. At this time, Ling Yao was shocked as if he had noticed something. What is that? Looking for her voice Yin, everyone also saw. There was a figure standing quietly on the top of the mountain in the distance. That figure, wearing black uniform, has brilliant white hair. And at this time, there are inexplicable particles constantly gathering in front of him. This. In the stunned voice, Ling Yao's heart tightened. She shivered. She is afraid. The intuition like a beast reminded her at all times how dangerous this figure was. Do not. This is not dangerous anymore. But horror. Unprecedented terror engulfed her whole being. The cold sweat fell like raindrops. The more keen you are, the more you can perceive how terrifying Lu Zimo is at the moment. Just like the countless mutant mice in a giant pothole not far away. At this moment, they also seemed to have noticed something, and they all fled in a panic. But, everything is too late. Power is gathering. Countless imaginary masses are also condensed. At this time, not far away, there are still a few people who don't know why. What is he doing? Have you noticed that there seems to be a hazy glow not far from him? Like, there is, it's really pretty. Really beautiful. During the continuous discussion, these people were also stunned. However, at this time, as if they had noticed something, they also looked at Ling Yao who was not far away. At this moment, Ling Yao, a girl who was extremely determined in their eyes. Body seems to be shivering. The cold sweat is even more direct. What's wrong? Somewhat stunned, the young man who had awakened to muscle strengthening also looked at Ling Yao. Run, run. In a very hoarse voice, Ling Yao also tried his best to remind his teammates. Forehead. Silent. Everyone was silent. Run. Why is that? But don't wait for them to be more stunned. Far. Boom. Just listen to the sound of the earth-shattering loud noise. The world pales in an instant. In the terrified gazes of these students, far away, there was a beam of light dozens of meters thick, streaking straight across the distance. Boom, boom, boom. The continuous roar. The distant hills are suddenly shattered. It's like being flattened. Although, this is a small hill. But the purple-black beam of light is still extremely terrifying. It was like a sharp sword that ripped apart the world. Swipe in an instant, leaving a perfectly smooth circular cut. Ding, you have beheaded a mutant mouse. Energy point plus 30. Ding, you have killed a mutant mouse. Energy point plus 40. Ding, you have killed a mutant mouse. Energy point plus 30. Among the repeated reminders, it was Lu Zimo's burst of light beams that swept across the horizon, and wiped out many mutant mice. And this is just the beginning. It's just because this purple-black beam of light has already shot at a huge pothole in the distance at an extremely terrifying speed. Boom. In the sudden loud noise, the surroundings seemed to be shaken by a small earthquake, and the earth began to vibrate. Visible to the naked eye, there was a huge explosion in the distance. It looks like a mushroom cloud is rising. Everything is lost in the light. Scary. Really scary. At least, at this time, several people not far away were stunned when they saw it. There was a look of disbelief deep in his eyes. Although, this explosion, many modern militarized weapons can do it. Take missiles, for example. Worse yet, ICBMs. But the problem is, this explosion is man-made. It was a man who raised his hand and set off such a terrible explosion. My God, am I dreaming? What are you kidding? It's serious. I'm really stupid. During the repeated exclamations, the eyes of these people were completely dull. As for this, Lu Zimo, who stood quietly on the top of the hill, sighed. The virtual Pyrene was indeed as terrifying as he imagined. It's just that this move is a little bit mental, physical, and even spiritual. Simply put, this is not a move that can be used frequently. Still, think about it too. How can such a terrifying move be used often? Like now. Raising his eyes slowly, Lu Zimo could clearly see that a ravine with a length of 100 meters appeared between the sky and the earth. And at the end of that ravine, that aura spewed out, the bottomless pothole, it quietly wiped out a large piece of. As for the mutant mice among them, long gone. It's just Lu Zimo's insane surge of energy. 280,000 energy points. While whispering softly, Lu Zimo's eyes were also focused on this number. 280,000 energy points. And one, a mutant mouse, about 20 or 30 energy points. That is to say, he just recorded the imaginary Pyrene, not to mention erasing 8 or 9,000, or even tens of thousands of mutant mice. Alas. With another sigh, Lu Zimo couldn't help but sigh about the fragility of life. However, what followed was unspeakable excitement and joy. Really, the beast tide is the real harvest. Is the real surprise. One time, more than 200,000 energy points are harvested. This is the past, months of hard work. Not even for a few months. Go on like this, within a few days, I will be able to accumulate 1 million energy points. In the softly narrated in, Lu Zimo is also looking forward to million energy points. This is not a small number. And, more importantly, with 1 million energy points, he can start the third enhancement. Body strength will further skyrocket. Maybe, with the third strengthening, my body strength will be directly comparable to the creatures in the supernatural realm. Only relying on the body, you can fight with the extraordinary first order. And at that time, even bullets and cannonballs wouldn't necessarily be able to shake my body. With a heart-to-head smile, Lu Zimo suppressed some other thoughts. Although, killing too much is not good. However, if killing can make himself stronger, then he will never let go of killing. And one more thing. These mutant beasts are human enemies. If they don't kill them today, more humans will die at their hands tomorrow. So, not just for him. Get the money, Zhao, it is for other human beings. Of course, this is just one reason for Lu Zimo's comfort. Find yourself an excuse for reasonable slaughter. This guy, from start to finish, it's just a person who thinks about himself. However, at this time, as if thinking of something, Lu Zimo also turned his head slowly. Imprinted into the eyes are a few young girls not far away. It looks young. These guys, Lu Zimo had already noticed. Under the perception of 6 eyes, they are unavoidable. However, at that time, Lu Zimo was already accumulating power, and it was too late to retract it, so these guys collided. There are actually 2 people with awakened talents. While whispering softly, Lu Zimo also focused his attention on a pair of young men and women. One, with a resolute face. The muscles around him are like living things, constantly squirming. Holding a long sword, long black hair draped over his shoulders. It looks very heroic. If this is in the world of martial arts, I am afraid it will be a female hero. However, it was just such a young girl, with a pale face and cold sweat on her forehead. As if afraid of something. Especially when looking at each other, this girl is actually staggering, her delicate body can't stand still. The perception is too sensitive, so I am afraid. In a somewhat stunned voice, Lu Zimo also guessed the reason. Although he only set foot on the extraordinary level. But the life level has changed. Now he has a feeling of being detached from ordinary people. And for this, most people are not aware of it. But sensitive. Especially those who rely on innate perception can deeply understand how terrifying Lu Zimo is now. Like a top predator at the top of the food chain. Just looking at it, there is a kind of indescribable fear and awe. And now, looking at each other, Ling Yao, who was originally very tough, was even more flustered. In a trance, she saw a pair of icy blue eyes with white mist, constantly magnifying in her mind, depriving her of all perception. Your perception is good. The soft whisper, as if it was ringing in his ears, made Ling Yao's body tighten violently. Not only her, but even the companions around her were stunned. Just because, at this moment, the figure who was still far away from them came to them at an unknown time. At this time, the crowd really saw this figure clearly. This is a very handsome figure. It's like stepping out of a manga. Especially now, the uninhibited smile on the corner of his mouth is even more shocking. Seeing him, I have some doubts. Why did I come into this world? I don't know why such a strange thought arises in my heart, and the muscle-strengthening man is also the first to react, and with a touch of panic, he said. You, are you? In the very stunned voice, the muscular man was also subconsciously alert. Between the fists clenched, the muscles are constantly squirming like small snakes. Humph. With chuckles, Lu Zimo didn't care. A mere second-level transcendent, but there is no threat to him. However, it should be reminded. The neighborhood is too dangerous, you should leave as soon as possible. Saying that, as if he noticed something, Lu Zimo also looked at the 5 people. They are scarred, covered in blood. It's like walking out of the mountain of corpses. Is it the superhuman who awakened last night because of his spiritual energy recovery? In the heart-to-head murmur, Lu Zimo also noticed that not only the leading man and the woman, but the other 3 also had faint aura fluctuations. Although he hasn't awakened his talent yet. But the body also has a certain strengthening. It is estimated that awakening talent is not far away. A group of good seedlings. In the heart-to-head sigh, Lu Zimo took the initiative to ask. Where are you from? By the way, to answer your previous question, I'm Gojo, the superhuman of the Spiritual Power Bureau. And the so-called Spirit Power Bureau is somewhat like a police station in an extraordinary world, responsible for protecting ordinary people. 5. Listening quietly, these young girls were also shocked. Then, they seemed to realize something, and a touch of excitement suddenly appeared on their faces, saying, What about the police? Are you a policeman? Please, go and save our relatives. We came from a nearby village. Many relatives have not left yet. However, when we left, a lot of strange beasts broke in, and they were also covering us, that's why. After a pause, the crowd reached to a boy with glasses, who also wept a little. Is that so? In a soft whisper, Lu Zimo also understood. Now, not as much as before. The sudden tide of spiritual power disrupted the peaceful world. The city is okay, with the Spiritual Power Bureau cooperating with the police and the military to stabilize the situation. Even if it is messed up, it can be suppressed. But outside the city, it's different. Especially in some remote villages, it is even more different. Just like the teenage girls in front of me. The tide of spiritual power suddenly erupted, spawning countless mutant beasts. And these mutant beasts swept the village. A village that is unsuspecting and has no defense itself is naturally difficult to resist. So, it is possible to lose ground and even lose ground. Originally, the magnetic field is not chaotic, and I can still ask for help. But after the magnetic field is chaotic, all communications are interrupted. Even if the Spiritual Power Bureau wants to send someone to support, there is no way. With a sigh, Lu Zemo also took out a special spiritual mobile phone made by the Spiritual Power Bureau. This phone has some signal. And now, after simply dialing the phone, Lu Zemo also contacted the Spiritual Power Bureau and sent someone to support him. As for himself, to be honest, energy is limited. Can't really care too much. Now, being able to protect them one or two is the limit. Just stay here, I have already contacted people to pick you up. As for your relatives, I will arrange for someone to pick them up. If they survive. Saying that, Lu Zemo walked towards the corpse not far away again. This is the corpse of the mutant snake. The 6 or 7 meter long serpent looked extremely ferocious and terrifying. However, grilled and eaten, it should be good. As for this mutated python, how could it be here? This is thanks to the fact that it blocked Lu Zemo's way just now. In the end, he died on the impact of Lu Zemo Kang's extension technique, teleportation. Time is slow, slowly passing by. Half an hour has passed in a blink of an eye. Lu Zemo makes a simple roast snake. Crack, click. One bite after another. A few teenagers and girls not far away devoured it as if they hadn't eaten for several days. In response, Lu Zemo just smiled. Silent CDDD took a few mouthfuls. His stomach is not hungry, but more to make up for his physical strength. By the way, take care of these little guys. Meeting is fate. These little guys are only 16 or 17 years old. It would be a pity if they died in the beast swarm. And during this meal time, Lu Zemo also knew their names. Headed by a man and a woman. One is called Lu Yang, and the other is called Ling Yao. The talents of the two people are amazing. According to Lu Zemo's evaluation, at least it is A level. Able to manipulate muscles at will, its explosiveness, force, and strength are guaranteed. In terms of strength alone, he is even more terrifying than some beastly capable people. As for Ling Yao, the intuition like a beast is also terrifying. This is a talent that is enough to greatly increase the chance of survival in Beast Tide. If they didn't have this talent, they would be able to go to this place, it would be a ghost. However, with this talent, everything is hard to say. This feeling is that a woman's sixth sense is greatly strengthened. With a heart-to-head smile, Lu Zemo also reminded. I will join the Spiritual Power Bureau in the future, remember not to casually tell others about your talent. Especially you, Ling Yao, your talent, a little weird, it's better not to expose it, maybe I can save you in the future. Listening quietly, this heroic girl was also shocked. Immediately, he nodded fiercely. Got it, big brother. Quote. Laughing, Lu Zemo couldn't help but be dumbfounded. This name is a bit good. Called uncle, it seems he is too old. Calling something else, that's not appropriate either. Or, big brother. And not long after that, Lu Zemo raised his brows as if he noticed something. Come on. While whispering softly, Lu Zemo also looked into the distance. There was a convoy, rushing in very fast. Although, Lu Zemo didn't know how they got here. But the speed is really fast. And what Lu Zemo didn't know at this point was, even though most of the traffic was jammed. But it can't stand, there are more people and more power. In just a few hours, Hengcheng has cleared out several main roads. For vehicle companions, the vehicle kept approaching, and after a while, some figures in black trench coats got out of the car. Is that Gojo-sama? We are the support unit of the Spiritual Power Bureau. In a very simple introduction, the leading man looked at a figure not far away that seemed to be walking out of a cartoon, showing respect. Gojo. The Spiritual Power Bureau is now the first person to be honest. According to legend, he is even stepping into the transcendent realm. Although, this is just a rumor. But his horror is evident. However, at this moment, as if he noticed something, this middle-aged man also looked at the mountain top not far away. That hill is weird. It was like a mirror, revealing a smooth, mirror-like cut. This. In a daze, the middle-aged man was also puzzled. In such a wild, such a strange hill is extremely conspicuous. At this moment, it seemed that he noticed the strange gaze of the middle-aged man, and Lu Yong, a muscular teenager not far away, also came over and said excitedly, "That's Big Brother's masterpiece." With one bang, the entire mountain was flattened. "Oh my god, it feels like I'm watching a blockbuster." In the very excited voice sound, he is a muscular boy who has known Lu Zimo, and he does not hide his admiration for Lu Zimo at all. Forehead. Silent. Not only the middle-aged man was silent, but even everyone who followed behind the middle-aged man was silent. Real, or fake? Are you sure you're not kidding? Such a mountain. Although it is a hill, it is too exaggerated to cut it flat. At this time, Lu Zimo did not know the shock of middle-aged people. After entrusting Ling Yao and others to them, Lu Zimo also turned around slowly. Take a break. Time to continue to complete the task. You must know that there are countless mutant beasts in the mountains and fields. As for, why didn't they attack? Then what? Of course, there is Lu Zimo, a god of death. Step into the realm of transcendence. The life level has been transformed. And these mutant beasts with strong perception, just feel his breath, shudder. Not to mention, active attack. So well. Within a few hundred meters, Lu Zimo could not see a single mutant beast. And this is why Lu Zimo stayed here and took care of Ling Yao and the others. Without Lu Zimo, they've been submerged under the beast tide, no bones left. The sun goes down. Lu Zimo walks alone in the wild. Roar. In the midst of the sudden roar, a mutant wild dog jumped out of the dense grove. But don't wait for this, a mutant wild dog pounces on Lu Zimo. Boom. Only to hear a loud noise, the whole body of this mutant wild dog flew upside down. Reversal spell, the power of ejection. The huge ejection force exploded in an instant, shattering most of its body, leaving only the blood flying. Ding, you have beheaded a mutant wild dog, energy point plus 30. The familiar reminder also means that Lu Zimo has once again taken a life away. Now Lu Zimo is a little numb. Able to hold hands. He would never raise his hand. Just because, one day, all day, he kept killing. A real killer. Sometimes, it's not a good thing to kill all the time. As he sighed, Lu Zimo lifted his footsteps. Stab. Only a crisp sound was heard. An ice thorn several meters high actually rose from the ground, ruthlessly stabbed the other mutant beast towards Lu Zimo and pierced it. But before the blood splattered, everything was frozen as the chill spread. Even the blood is solidified in the air. It's cold. Extremely cold. After stepping on the extraordinary level, Lu Zimo's chill was extremely terrifying. Able to freeze most of the liquid between breathing and breathing. If there is no spiritual body protection, even Lu Zimo can directly freeze the blood. This is terrifying. A lot of mutant beasts didn't even have time to react, they were already frozen. There was obviously no trace of ice outside. But inside, the blood coagulated silently. And that, it is the coldness of Lu Zimo entering the body. However, it's almost time to go back. While speaking softly, Lu Zimo also looked at the sky. The sky is dark. He slaughtered for a day, and the energy point increased from 280,000 in the morning to 380,000 now. The killing is feared to be in the thousands. However, that is Lu Zimo. The ordinary extraordinary first order, but there is no such combat power as him. Like a nuclear weapon, terrifying to the extreme. If someone follows Lu Zimo's perspective and walks all the way, the whole person will be shocked. In the true sense, the road paved with bones and blood. Looking back, you can see countless corpses, all over Lu Zimo's footprints. There are also ice sculptures one after another. The traces left by Lu Zimo's cold. The night was getting darker, and Lu Zimo rode his motorcycle back to the city alone. There is a clear difference between today's city and last night. Although, there is still smoke. Still, it's confusing. But compared to yesterday, after all, it was a little less noisy. What's more, the army and the police are walking among the city streets. They are comforting the people and stabilizing the order. And it's worth mentioning, maybe it's because the tide of spiritual power has already been anticipated. The Spiritual Power Bureau in the country, during this period, greatly expanded the police and army. Like in the old days, there were only 10,000 troops stationed in Hangchang. But now, the scale has reached 50,000. There are more and more people joining in. It is also because of this. It is only now that we can see countless figures in full armor, walking in the city, cleaning up mutant beasts. Of course, this should be a relatively long battle. Slowly raising his eyes, Lu Zimo could see some figures fighting with mutant pets. There are no beasts in the city. But pets are not so common. Under the same roof as human beings, under the nourishment of spiritual energy, they began to mutate, and even the instincts of beasts were awakened. Meow. In the midst of the very mournful neighing, on a telephone pole in the distance, a black cat covered in darkness, grinning and looking down at the human beings not far away. Its sharp claws slowly protruded, and a smear of scarlet flashed away in the depths of its eyes. Shish. With a violent sound, it broke through the air, and it was attacking a soldier who was on guard not far away. Only, when it got close to the soldier. Stab. Suddenly, with a crisp sound, an ice thorn appeared on him without warning. It even took its entire body to fly. Boom. With a loud noise, the wall shook, and a very large mutant black cat was nailed to the wall. What? In the sudden exclamation, it was the soldiers not far away who reacted immediately. The spear in the hand is raised. But to his astonishment, it was a black wild cat with a large size, comparable to a calf, that was nailed to the wall by an ice thorn. This is. Eyes widened, this figure also looked in other directions. And at the next moment, a young man riding a black motorcycle entered his eyes. This is a very handsome young man. Has long white hair. However, the most interesting thing is his eyes. It was a pair of ice blue eyes with white mist, very expressive. And now, greeting with a smile, this young man also said bluntly. When alerting, you must be careful of your back. Most of these mutant beasts attack from your back in high altitude, just like hunting. While speaking softly, Lu Zimo also accelerated, rushing towards not far away. To save people, he just did it smoothly. Now, when he passes by and sees mutant beasts, he will always endure. No, stay out, clean it up with his hands. However, he did not know that he had left a legend on the streets. Did you see that? There's a white-haired boy riding a motorcycle. He just saved me. Is that the one who controls the ice? Is there really someone who can control the ice? Is this the superhuman? I have seen a lot recently, but no one can suffocate me like him. During the continuous discussion, Lu Zimo was once again covered with a mysterious veil. By the time Lu Zimo returned to the Spiritual Power Bureau again, it was already night. Nuoda's Spiritual Power Bureau was empty. There are only a few extraordinary people occasionally, as well as ordinary staff. Hello Gojo-sama, you're back. Hey guys, Boss Gojo is back. During the repeated exclamations, quite a few people seemed to have seen the star and gathered around them one after another. Among them, some women are the most excited. And it's not their fault. Just because Lu Zimo is now a legend of the Spiritual Power Bureau. Overnight, set foot on the extraordinary. He walked out of the pacifying beast tide by himself. Although not many people saw it, but the news from the support troops just now made many people feel terrified. It flattened a mountain. This speaks human words. But looking at the support troops, the photos they brought back, and the narrations of the teenagers, countless people were silent. And this is Gojo, the first person in the Spiritual Power Bureau. Horror in the true sense. Nodding slightly, Lu Zimo also smiled and greeted everyone. However, upon closer inspection, no one was within 3 feet of Lu Zimo. There seems to be a layer of invisible air waves that persecute everyone. And now, along the way, everyone lined up on both sides. Lu Zimo also slowly came to the cafeteria of the Spiritual Power Bureau. Lord Gojo, your supper is ready. It's an entry-level 9th level mutant rhino. In the middle of the sudden opening, a figure dressed as a chef also poured out of the crowd for the first time. Okay, trouble. With a chuckle, Lu Zimo walked into a restaurant alone. This is the most high-end restaurant in the Lingli Bureau. It was specially created by the Spiritual Power Bureau for Lu Zimo. Not only him, but all the top extraordinary people have their own restaurants. During the period, it is also equipped with a corresponding team of chefs. They are responsible for the diet of Lu Zimo et al. Moreover, most of the corpses of the mutant beasts that Lu Zimo hunted will be handed over to them for processing, and suitable parts will be screened out for processing. And not long after, in a restaurant, Lu Zimo nibbled the mutant rhino leg by himself. It must be said that it is indeed a mutant beast meat of the 9th level. This tastes really good. What shocked him even more was that the meat of this mutant beast contained a lot of spiritual power. With one mouthful, countless spiritual power poured into the body, and then poured into the limbs and bones. It's not really comfortable. Just, unfortunately. With a limited stomach, Lu Zimo stretched a little after simply eating some. He is a little tired. Killing all day. The spiritual power has resisted, stepping into the transcendent realm, the unity of heaven and man, and the speed of spiritual power recovery is greatly accelerated. As long as you don't use terrifying moves that consume spiritual power, you can completely withstand it. And the body also withstood. Not a single wound was left. But mentally, it's a bit of a headache. And this, Lu Zimo often uses 6 eyes to exercise his spirit. Switching to other extraordinary first order, I am afraid that he has already gone mad, or is obsessed. And Lu Zimo, now it's more just feeling tired. When I learn how to reverse the surgery, I can renovate my brain cells, it should be much better. In a sigh, Lu Zimo also thought of the amazing healing power of the reversal technique. Spell reversal and reverse spell are different. The technique is reversed, just like Kang he mastered by Lu Zimo. Kang is the force of attraction, he is the force of ejection, like the positive and negative ryomen of an object, which is the inversion of the spell itself. It's a different use of skills. And the reverse spell is another. In another world, the power of mantra comes from negative emotions and stress, so it can be said that mantra power is minus and is not suitable for treating human beings. But, negative becomes positive, you can get positive energy plus. This is a reversal convert mana minus into positive energy plus. And the existence of the reversal technique is healing. And different people use the reverse spell effect is not the same. Some can only treat minor injuries, only the hand, and some can also treat others. But Gojo Satoru, his reversal technique not only heals the body perfectly, it can even renovate brain cells to withstand the load of 6 eyes to the greatest extent possible. This is a reversal spell unique to Gojo Satoru. Of course, this has something to do with 6 eyes. Gojo Satoru, who is called the perfect being, is largely because he is impeccable. In terms of attack, his virtual, Pyrene, can almost be the most terrifying skill of the same level. None of them. In terms of power alone, it is even approaching a higher realm. For example, the current Lu Zimo bursts out of the 187 style, Pyrene, saying that it has an extraordinary second-order power, and some people will believe it. In terms of defense, no lower limit spell is almost equivalent to absolute defense. Can't even get close, let alone hurt Gojo Satoru. As for speed, Kang's extended usage, teleportation, can be regarded as an extreme. And finally, the cure. The reversal technique can be pulled back even in one breath, and it can continuously renovate brain cells and maximize the development of spiritual power. And this is the real Gojo Satoru. All aspects of pulling full, cast his ceiling. However, this is not scary yet. What's even more terrifying is that he fits perfectly in every way. Just like the reversal technique, it can be combined with 6 eyes, and then the unlimited technique can be turned into a permanent passive and run all the time. No reversal formula. Even Gojo Satoru can't always open unlimited spells. And this is the scariest part of Gojo Satoru. His whole ability can be perfectly matched, like a whole. Perfectly suffocating. In the sigh from the heart, Lu Zimo also clenched his fists. Crack. With the sudden crisp sound, Lu Zimo seemed to burst the air. Like real power, gathered here. After solving the supper, Lu Zimo did not delay. He first went to see Luoju and reported on the mission. Thanks for your hard work. Patting Lu Zimo's shoulder, Luoju's face filled with a smile. Especially that gaze, as if seeing his son-in-law. At this time, as if thinking of something, Luoju also asked. Xiaomo. Are you married? Forehead. During the silence of Jen, Lu Zimo didn't know why. Forget it, forget it. You go to rest first. Saying that, Luo Ju also sent Lu Zimo to the door. Confused. The face is stunned. Even Lu Zimo didn't react. How could Luo Ju suddenly ask him if he is married? Could it be? Heart to head stunned, Lu Zimo also returned to his residence with confusion. However, what Lu Zimo didn't know at this time was that Luo Ju's eyes fell on the desk in the office, dazed. There are several pictures on the table. Every photo is clearly visible. Photo, medium, all are one figure. He has white hair, white eyelashes, even the eyes are ice blue with white mist. And the top photo is a picture of Lu Zimo converging imaginary quality. Countless purple-black particles converged in front of Lu Zimo. Like a laser cannon, it gathers energy. Until the end. A light cannon with a thickness of tens of meters tore apart the earth. And also tore apart the distant valley. Silence, rare silence, even Luo Ju couldn't help suffocating. This is also the reason why his attitude towards Lu Zimo is suddenly uncharacteristic. This guy is no ordinary horror. A real horror. If he wants to, I'm afraid that one person can slaughter the entire spiritual power bureau. Nodding, a figure hidden in the corner also agreed. His power is beyond imagination, far beyond what I can match. Having said that, this burly figure that looks like a brown bear is also helpless. The same as the extraordinary First Order. The combat power of the two people is not at the same level at all. Yes, the same as the extraordinary First Order. Codenamed, War Pig. Ability, Beastization of Wild Boars, possessing the power of wild boars. It is an extraordinary person cultivated by the military and belongs to the military. Although it is artificially cultivated. After a variety of instrument stimulation. But he is indeed an extraordinary First Order. The combat power is about the same as the general supernatural First Order. The only thing, unfortunately, is that he has lost hope of moving forward. The extraordinary First Order is already his limit. However, the War Pig never thought that this time, when he came to Hengchang to prepare for support, he found such a monster. Gojo. In a daze, the War Pig couldn't help but smile bitterly. Sure enough, there is a qualitative gap between me and these real monsters. Forehead. During the silence of Jen, Luo Ju also said bluntly. Believe me, Gojo was just an accident. It's really an accident, but I've seen two monsters recently, one is Gojo in your place, and the other is the Ice Girl in the Magic Capital. That's also a ruthless person, ice blue long hair, extremely belligerent. I played against her and lost 10 moves. What about Gojo? In some curious voices, Luo Ju also asked such a question. Are you really? Raising his brows, Zon Pig also thought for a moment before saying bluntly. Being able to not die in one move is my life. Just a few words, but it is the power of Lu Zimo. Same as first class. Coming from the military, the arrogant War Pig was actually convinced. Even said something so decisive. One can imagine how terrifying Lu Zimo is. However, at this moment, as if thinking of something, the War Pig also said bluntly. Just now, he has found me. It's tempting me even more. Listening quietly, Luo Ju was also slightly startled. Try. With a wry smile, the War Pig also raised his arms. At this time, Luo Ju was shocked to discover that the arm of the War Pig, which is also a supernatural First Order, did not know when the frost had condensed. The cold air spread slowly in the air. Even Luo Ju couldn't help but shiver. This. In a daze, even Luo Ju was speechless. If I was hostile just now, I might already be a corpse at this moment. I'm careless, really careless. When the cold air enters my body, I will react. During the repeated sighs, the face of the War Pig couldn't help showing a look of fear. However, the next moment, as if thinking of something, the face of the War Pig changed suddenly, and he said. Oops, no, didn't you say that Gojo's talent is absolutely attractive? How could he control the cold, make me defenseless? Hearing this, Luo Ju couldn't help but smile bitterly. That one, to be honest, I don't know either. Maybe he has awakened his second talent. Second talent. Resisting the twitching of the corners of his eyes, the War Pig's face changed too. All right, Monsters are monsters. Even the second talent can be awakened. This is unavoidable. At this time, Lu Zimo didn't know the discussion between Luoju and the mysterious man. Now he is lying on the bed of the residence to rest. But, as if thinking of something, a hint of curiosity appeared on Lu Zimo's face. Extraordinary First Order. Does the Spiritual Power Bureau also have other extraordinary first orders? It's just that this guy is a little strange. Compared with the general supernatural first order, it may be a little weak. The spiritual power is extremely unstable. It seems to be forcibly raised. Hardhead is suspicious, but Lu Zimo doesn't care. After all, it is the world's top power, and it is normal for Daxia to have some hidden things. It's weird that it's not hidden. Moreover, a mere extraordinary first order. To be honest, killing him is what Lu Zimo wanted and didn't want to do. For an extraordinary first order like this, if I kill him, I guess it doesn't take 3 breaths. Sighing loudly, Lu Zimo suppressed some thoughts in his heart. Maybe today, really kill the hemp. Seeing people want to kill. Alas, before, he wasn't like that. Time goes by slowly, it's the second day in a blink of an eye. Lu Zimo woke up from his slumber. He didn't sleep for too long, and in just 4 hours, he recovered his spirits. And now, after a simple scrubbing, he also checked the energy points. Nearly 400,000. Another 60,000. You can start the third reinforcement. In the past, he would feel that 600,000 energy points would be as difficult as reaching the sky. But now, let's be honest, really simple. It's just a few beast tides. To others, the beast tide like a disaster, to him, is more like a number. An extremely cold number. A flash of scarlet flashed in the depths of his eyes, and Lu Zimo also held up and raised his hand. Killing intent. Even the temperature of the air keeps dropping. And just after a simple wash, Lu Zimo also turned on his phone. The phone seems to have recovered. Can see some news. However, the moment the phone was turned on, countless short messages came in. With flaming fists, with the king of food, and Lin Xiaoyi. Opening them one by one, Lu Zimo also found that there was no big deal. Lin Xiaoyi has the food king and others to take care of him, so there is no need to worry about his safety. After all, it is a sudden mutation, and the combat power of these mutant beasts is still far from the beasts that have been honed in the deep mountains and forests. Powerhouses such as the King of Food and Flame Fist are enough to suppress them. Not to mention the military cooperation. Never underestimate the military. This is a behemoth. Their hidden power, even Lu Zimo couldn't help but palpitate. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.